Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Who's Alien Addict? Who is Alien Addict? He's just some guy that just sometimes comes on and he rants about UFOs and a lot of other nonsense. And sometimes his guests are late and sometimes they just don't show up. Well, that's only happened once. It's normally Rich that's asleep. But Kyle, good evening, folks, by the way. Welcome to Alien Addict. Kyle is, I don't know where Kyle is right now. Last time I was supposed to go on his show, and he said 11 o'clock my time. He sent me the message to come on the show, and it was nearly 3 in the morning my time. I was asleep. Maybe he's getting his own back. I thought we kind of got the times right. So he may just be running late, people. We did the show earlier on in the week where we talked about Lue. And it was all one-sided. So I wanted to get the other side of the story, the people who are the Lue lovers, I want to hear that. And, there doesn't seem to be many of them willing to come on and discuss the reasons why they're behind Lue and why they were behind originally TTSA, which I find strange. But Kyle's, he was well up for coming on. He probably still will come on the show, people. But for now, you've just got this ginger-bearded warrior. And we'll soldier on through for a bit. It's not going to be a big show if it's just me, though, because I'm not very good at holding my own, unless I am on my own. Yeah, I'm drinking tea tonight. There's no alcohol involved. It's just a brew. An Earl Grey, that is my tipple. If anybody wants to know what Alien Addict drinks other than alcohol, it's Earl Grey and coffee and a little bit of H2O with some nice British chemicals in there. Delicious. So, yeah, the whole Lue thing that's been going on the internet, where there's a lot of negative stuff being said, and there's certain channels that speak highly of Lue. I'm in the middle. For anybody that thinks that I'm taking sides on this is not what this channel does. This channel, I'm just this guy that sits there and lets the other people, do the talking. And I'll listen. I'll go, yeah, well, I'll get your point with that one. Yeah, and I don't quite, no, I don't see that. That's me. I'm that guy. I'm the one that doesn't take sides. Some might call me a little bitch, but that is who I am, because that's the way this channel is structured. But yeah, I for me, I would much prefer GUFON lives. There we go. I'm liking the add to the logo there, Rich. It looks nice in yellow. It's make sure everybody go click on that little icon and support my good friend GUFON out, because he could lose GUFON, the original, which I hope he doesn't. I mean, it means that he's got to catch me up again in subscribers, because he did overtake me, the bar steward. But he's having to start from scratch, and already over 1,000 subscribers, which is phenomenal. It's a strange old subject, and I think it's got stranger and stranger over the years. When I first picked this up, it was just one guy just looking at some anomalies and just commenting and ranting and maybe debunking things now and again. And now it seems to have turned into something completely something that I would have never dreamt that this has turned into. And the field is it's odd. It's very strange. I can remember where it was us against them. You know, the government. We wanted disclosure. We wanted the truth, and we were fighting for that together. Well, now there's players, and all these players keep popping up. Whether it's Lue, whether it's Chris Mellon, whether it's Tom DeLon from TTSA, you know, whether it's what's his name, Wilcock, whoever it is, we see these people and they just pop up, and we always judge them. But I want to hear from the other side. I would like some of these people to embrace me with their presence, you know, and to actually come on a show that would ask them the difficult questions, because I would. But Kyle, if you can hear me, I've sent you the link. Join the conversation, because I can't speak to myself for much longer. I'm no Rich from GUFON. I can't do that. I can't rant. It's a good rant though, Rich. I'm not giving you a bad rant there. You know. Go subscribe to GUFON Lives. GUFON Lives. GUFON lives. GUFON lives forever. Amen. God, that is a tasty cup of tea. It really is. Yeah, but I do feel that there's a lot of emotions, mixed emotions. GUFON will help me. Okay, sod it. We'll get Rich in. Rich brightens up my day, just like the coffee on a morning. I did want to do a show where we would get people like Rich, Manny, the Cousins brothers, Osvaldo Franco. We get Kyle in. We get some other people that are, you know, really do enjoy Lou's company in the live chat, and we'd have that open debate. That would be, for me, a dream stream. You know, it would have a lot of drama, a lot of emotions, probably a lot of shouting. But we would calm the shouting down, though. You know, I would be that man. I would calm it. I'd calm the storm. But it's the field. It for me, looking as an outsider looking in, and believe it or not, I stopped looking at Rich's face a long time ago. Here he comes.
My face.
Reconnecting. You've caught the sun, Rich.
Hello?
You have caught the sun. You're looking good.
Can you hear me?
I can hear me now. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. Can you hear me now? We still say that, don't we? In that commercial.
You've caught the sun.
What's that?
You've caught the sun. The sun.
Oh yeah. I went to the beach yesterday, and I went back today, but it was closed for parking, so I'm going to go tomorrow. I wanted to fly the drone and get some cool shots and stuff of the whole area, but it was too windy, so I'm going to go back. Yeah, I got burnt, man. I mean, I just bought some lotion and SPF 15 for tomorrow. I bought a little chair, so I'm all ready.
I wish I could get a tan like that.
It helps you. I mean, it makes you look younger for some reason.
Well, yeah, it does, but I would have it. I'd have to fake it all the way. I could never go that color.
And thank you for noticing. Not a lot of people would say that. You know, they'd be like, I guess he's darker. I
would probably go that color.
Oh no! What is that?
I know it looks like an arsehole, doesn't it? It's a pirate's hat.
Oh my God! I would have never guessed.
Yeah, I wouldn't give my kids toy arseholes to play with.
Or maybe it was yours.
I definitely wouldn't give them mine to play with. That kind of stuff gets people arrested. And
if Kyle does show up and I'll step out.
Jail. No, I don't want you to.
No, if he shows up, so you can do your interview with him.
No, because we can.
Because I know what you wanted.
We can still let him. Do you know what? I think he may come on at 11.
Okay.
What time is it? I don't know where he's from.
It's 10. It's 5:11 in my time on the East Coast, but he would be. Yeah, what 2:11?
Okay, yeah, he did say 2 p.m., so he is definitely late.
Yeah. That's all right.
Either that or he's died.
He could have died.
That would
It
be
could
horrible.
happen. I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it.
Don't say it.
Anything could happen. You know, this whole thing with Lue, it's never going to end. And, Lue will run its course eventually. But he's got the book coming out. I definitely want to read it because I want to talk about it. That's coming out in April. I think he's going to run the junket and go on a lot of shows, little shows, big shows. So
Do you
maybe
think you could get a signed copy?
I don't think I'll get signed anything unless it's an affidavit to show up in court, or if that's even the right terminology. You said this about me and that about me. I'm a nice guy. I'm a family man.
Are you seeing a lot of backlash?
From what?
Other than almost losing your channel?
When you say backlash, like, what do you mean? Because that is the backlash.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. I mean, from like, still like on other platforms like Twitter, when it comes to Lue and the things you say that Manny
they
says.
avoid talking to me on Twitter now. So, yeah, they just avoid it, and they don't want to talk. They don't want to have a conversation, and it's really strange. They're afraid. If they have this conversation, two things. This is why they're not confident, and why I think they know they're wrong, because what they did was wrong. But hey, man, I could be wrong too. So that's why I want to have the conversation. I want to understand what they're saying. I understand what they're saying, but I want them to tell me, what are you so mad about? Why do you care what I say? We don't like the way you say it. Oh, now I got to have certain, attitude when I speak too. Forget that cancel culture woke shit. That's not in my, it's not in my life. It'll never be in my life. And that's who is trying to take ufology by the balls and lose part of that. Lose part of that. So is Tom DeLonge. So is Richard Dolan. And this Darcy character, the worst filmmaker, I didn't think it could get any worse than Corbell, but it did.
Do you think Lue is aware of what's going on?
100%.
Complete, do you think he influences it?
If it wasn't for Lue, yeah, I think he influences them behind the scenes and say, hey, I don't want to tell anybody to do anything, but you can do this and that, if you know how to do this and that, maybe I could help you. I don't know what's going on, but it was a coordinated attack, and it all happened in a few days. So that to me is coordination. I don't know if Lue had anything to do with it, but he might have influenced it. And not for me, more than Manny and anything else. Because I got struck from Darcy and Dolan, not from Lue or Festler or any of those other people. But they're trying to take me down. They're trying to get a hold of YouTube and say, we don't like this guy, and you can't get in trouble for speaking your opinion. And I haven't done anything that see, this is them. They say I'm doing everything they're doing. So if they came on my show, or if I went on theirs and we talked about it, I would ask them, what did I do? Tell me. What did I do? They won't have an answer. They can't. Because they're doing it. They're the ones that are falsely striking channels and going to YouTube and reporting every single show we do. It's childish. It really is, and I don't get it.
The thing is, say they win.
Yeah.
And they get rid of you. They get rid of Stephen, they get rid of Manny, they get rid of the people that they feel are getting in the way.
Yeah.
They'll get bored.
That's what happened when they got rid of Trump. They got bored.
What would they do next?
They think that they're going to sing Kumbaya and everything's going to be fine. But there's always somebody to take my place.
Hey, Manny, in the chat, I'm gonna send you an invite. Feel free to join me.
Oh man, come on! No, I'm kidding. I'm joking.
Listen.
I want Manny here. I joke around.
I think I've got a feeling Kyle will come on it in like 45 minutes.
Yeah,
I
maybe.
think he's got his wires mixed with the times, because Blake's messaged me and said that he's messaged Kyle, can't get through to him. So
I did too. I messaged him. I didn't hear back.
Do you all have each of us personal numbers over there?
Yeah. Well, I have a number, the one that he messaged me from, and he has my phone number.
What happens when you fall out, and they
what are you going to do, man? It's just a phone number.
When they'll put your number up in the nearest bar.
So what? I could use the company. Where are you at? For a good time, call Rich. Yeah, that's right. Call me. As long as it's in a woman's bathroom.
The whole thing
which is where they would put it. No, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What I found really interesting on the last show was when Manny spoke about the investors of TTSA, and I've heard Stephen Cambion speak about that as well, and they want to hear from investors, and I think I could be wrong here, but are they talking about trying to do something to try and get some of that money back?
Ask Manny. I really do not know. The investors should get their money back. But you take that risk as an investor that if the company goes defunct, that's the breaks.
Well, you do when you invest in anything, really. I mean...
I know.
My mum does the same thing, and I go, you shouldn't invest. She's like, I've just invested in so. So I'm like, you're kidding,
Might as well just throw the money away.
And she's like, no, you got to take a risk in life. I get that.
Sure.
I almost wished that I'd put that money in, just the 200.
Yeah.
Because it's just to see, just so I could get the info,
From TTSA?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. They had a minimal thing. What was it? 200, I think, right? You couldn't send them 50. They won't take your $50, but they'll take 200. That to me was so, oh my God. That's the worst. You're turning away money from people who can only afford a certain amount.
See, I spoke to Osvaldo Franco about this and said, what sort of, what do you get from them?
Yeah.
And every so often they get some sort of like itinerary and, some plans there. We've got money in the house.
Nice.
Hello, Manny, my friend. But that's all he said that he gets. He gets a few bits and bobs, but not much. So, Manny, how you doing, mate?
Good. Is my mic working okay?
It sounds delicious. It really does sound good.
Yeah, it does sound good.
Oh, perfect. Perfect time to serenade y'all. No, I'm just kidding.
So if we get Kyle in, this should be interesting, Manny.
Oh, is he just running late or something? I didn't catch what happened. I just walked in.
I honestly don't know. I've been messaging him. I've messaged him today, and he's not. We were messaging back and forth, and then all of a sudden, nothing. Like he's been abducted. Maybe he has.
Should we call the MIB and get him looking for him?
Well, people have tried to ring him. They can't get through. It's odd, my man.
I hope he's okay, whatever. I hope he didn't get in a car accident or something. Jeez. You just never know.
Maybe this is like some sort of payback for, speaking bad about Lue.
No way.
I'm kidding. I know you wouldn't do that.
Oh. Hey, you never know, man.
I do think, though, between if he comes on tonight, I think it would be interesting to have that conversation, a grown-up conversation about why he supports Lue and why you guys don't, without getting too heated. I think it will get a bit warm. Don't get me wrong. I think I'll feel a bit of heat, but I think we can all act like adults here.
I wanna say this is what will happen. So, Kyle, and I know he's not here, but what did Lue do for ufology? First answer he's going to give is that Well, they all say it. He got us talking. The mainstream media went nuts for a couple of years, especially the last 6 months, or before July or June 25th. It was everyday ufology on mainstream media, pretty much. And it stopped since then. And once that 180 days thing was over. So, what has Lue done since? Well, the AOI MSG. Yeah, but he said it's not even going to be as transparent, and it's in the same office as ATIP, running by the same rules, basically, is what Lue was saying. So, they're going to be micromanaged, and we're not going to see anything important, as far as I'm concerned. So what else has he done? Manny?
What's the rhetoric? I mean, I kind
What
of
else
agree with
has Lue done?
I agree with what Rich is saying here, is that we're going to get the same rhetoric that we get on Twitter. We're going to get the same answers. It's devoid of fact, and that's the problem, is that whenever people really start to defend Lue, it always relies on subjective interpretation of certain things, like that this UFO office is such a big win, that congressional oversight such a big win. Well, those are all subjective interpretations, which are fine. We've heard them all, but let's hear the other side of the subjective interpretation now, because the rhetoric is just that. It just goes back and forth, and it ultimately devolves into Lue's great and you guys suck. He's doing all this and you're doing nothing. He's trying, and I just disagree. The movement that he's got is not, I've said it many times, it's a defense industry movement. It's not a disclosure movement. Yeah. And that's why I'm so resistant to it, man. I see what happens with our weapons across the world. It's not always the good thing. You know what I mean? So let's go back to disclosure. That's all. And let's get back to the basics of looking at evidence and just back to our roots, of being kind of suspicious of people who come in with grandiose stories and an agenda. That's never worked out good for ufology. So, that's kind of how I feel about it.
What do you boys think his next move will be after the book, though?
Well, it's the Galileo project that he's associated himself with. So that's going to be huge for him. But, we have an insider in there, Alex Gershowitz. He's a panel member. He's a Smithsonian Institute. He used to work for I don't know if he still does, but he worked for the Smithsonian for decades. And the guy's brilliant. He's smart. I don't know if he's an astrophysicist or something, but he's smart like that. And he sees Lue in these meetings behind the scenes with the Galileo project, these Zoom meetings and stuff. And I think I'm allowed to talk about it. I think Third Phase said it was okay if I brought this stuff up about Alex, because Alex doesn't give a shit anymore. He wants people to know who he is. And it's a big name, Alex Gershowitz. So that is Lue's next big thing, is the Galileo project. I worry about him being in there for obvious reasons, because he's going to go run to the government and say, here's what they found. And they're going to be like, shut it down. We'll never see it. That's what I'm worried about.
All right. I agree there, Rich. He's definitely over there for his own purposes. And if you look, it's kind of the similar thing that he was doing at TTSA when he first started, but he's shifted into this other role when they broke up there. Their original plan's still going strong. I've been digging into TTSA a lot this last week and finding out some really interesting things that are going on behind the scenes that people aren't really aware of. And that agenda over there, like we talked about last time we were all together, the three of us, we talked about how there's a front and a back of the house at TTSA. Well, the back of the house is way active, man. They are, as Ollie would say, they're busy beavers. And I want to shine some light on that so people know what's going on, because it'll make it easier to understand when you see that this group is a group. You can't look at one individual entity anymore. You can't just look at Elizondo. You got to look at Mellon. You got to look at TTSA. You got to look at now Avi Loeb over at the Galileo Project. And I don't think he's actively involved. I think they've, like I've said many times, I think they've infiltrated that to use it for their own purposes. Whatever those might be, we'll have to really figure out. But this thing is shifting and changing every dang day. It's like a hydra, and it is. It's a conspiracy, man, and it's hard to wrap your head around, because every time you think you got it figured out, they're on to the next plan. So,
right.
Yeah, we just got to keep going at
Cheers,
it day
Bex.
after day. Oh, nice. I got a donation. Thanks, Bex.
That's a beautiful
Cool.
dog. Is that your dog, Bex?
That's a cool dog, yeah.
It's a drawing of a dog.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, my mum's getting a dog. She's getting a Labradoodle.
Oh, those are gorgeous.
Oh, not Labradoodle. A cockapoo.
Labradoodles are nice
No.
too, but
A cockapoo. Chicken a cockapoo.
cockapoos are cool.
Yeah.
Anything with a poo in it.
Thank you, Bex. I appreciate that. I have sent Q. I have sent you to send me an email because so I could send you the link. I know I'm not sure what. Do you guys know QVid?
Yeah. Triple
Yeah.
QVID, yeah.
Yeah. Good man. And I think
Very good.
I think he's on the Lue side, so that
Oh,
would be
yeah?
interesting to hear.
He's
Hey,
coming
let's-
in.
I was
Yeah,
going
well,
to say, there's somebody in the chat, Mystery Eon, says that they have a lot to say on this subject and would like to chime in, and they feel like they're being censored. I don't think that's the case. I've talked to Mr. Eon a few times, and if he wants to chime in, he can. But I prefer it's not from the chat.
Yeah.
Send
He's a
me,
good guy.
I tell you what. Let me bring the email.
Isn't
up.
Mr. Eon part of Fessler's group?
Oh, I don't know.
Or am I wrong on that, Manny? Do you
I
know?
see them
'Cause-
in chat quite a bit over there when I'm looking and monitoring for my own purposes. So yeah, I suspect maybe, but I'm not going to hold that against this person. If
No,
they've got-
no,
I want to hear what they have to say.
Yeah, for
If you
sure.
If you guys want to come on, they're in the chat. Email me with your actual YouTube name as well, so I can see you in the comments, and I'll bring you on. As long as you're not naked. If you're naked, we'll
Turn
take you
the
off.
camera off.
Yeah. Headphones in and a microphone. We don't have to have a microphone. You could just have like a little headset, but as long as there's no bleeding sound, so turn your TV down, people.
Yeah, I'd love to have an open conversation about this. I know Rich would too, because I'm sure he feels the same way. Whenever we really start to get into facts, it just gets crazy fast, and it's a fight, and that's not what we want. We want to talk about this stuff.
Yes. I want to talk without fighting. I just want to sit in the middle and do very little. Just every so often scratch my beard like I'm looking intelligent. While
Coming in
I'm
nice.
It is, and we need more open platforms like you, Ollie, because Third Phase has talked about a group censorship effort on UFO Twitter, and it's true. They're doing the same thing to Who's Lou. They're like, let's quit talking about it, let's quit reviewing it, let's quit giving it its thunder. And it is true, but these people don't understand the Streisand effect, and they're only adding fuel to the fire by doing this. So you know what? Keep it up, UFO Twitter. Keep trying to squash our free speech. Keep trying to blindly ignore the facts. It's only going to end up backfiring in the long run. So I love it. Where's Mr. Eon? Is he coming on? Come on.
Yeah, I think I'm getting some emails.
Good.
So let me just work out how to change my email address. There we go.
Well, we don't want the echo chamber. He said, I stumbled into an echo chamber. Well, somebody else has to come on to give a counterpoint of view. Come on.
That's true, isn't it?
There you go, Q. I've sent you the invite, and have we got Mr. Not yet. Is it Mr. Eon?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Eon.
Mystery Eon.
Yeah, I get it.
He wants to come on. He's been talking a lot. He really wants to speak his mind, and I'd love to hear it,
Definitely, I want to hear
He's a
it.
good guy.
Send us an email.
I've always liked him.
Anybody who has something to say about this subject, send us an email.
Yeah, Lou, come on. Elizondo, come on, man. Why do you got all these people trying to fight for you? You're a big man. You've been spending hours and hours and hours every day on these live streams since Who's Lou came out, but he won't come over here and spend 90 minutes answer the questions to resolve it? I mean, come on. Somebody's got to have these answers if it ain't him.
I'm going to get Rich in as well. He's got some good stuff.
Oh,
to
yeah,
say.
Rich is here too?
Yeah.
Oh, Rich Northwood. I thought you meant Dark Sky Files. There's a lot of Riches and a lot of Lises in this community.
Let's invite Dark Sky.
And a lot of Dark Skies.
How many people can we
Anybody.
get? Can we get in this stream?
You can get up to 10.
There we go. No,
It'll get loud with 10 people.
I like Rich Northwood because he's very very he's very very calm and collected.
Yeah, he's got a way about him, yeah. I can't do that.
He's a martial arts teacher, so he's got to be.
He's got the Zen.
Yeah, he's got the
Nice.
Zen.
Zen Master me.
Yep.
Qvid emailed you, Ollie.
Uh,
He said, remember
yeah,
that game, Qbert?
Yeah, I have sent you the invite, mate. I've sent you it.
Mr. Eon, email Ollie at the email in the chat, and he'll send you a link if you want to come on. This is your chance, man. Don't be like those other guys and say you're going to come on and don't. That's
He'll be
bad.
here.
All
He'll
right,
be.
come on.
He'll be here. He's not afraid.
See,
Or
Q-
is he? Sorry.
There we go. We've got Rich. There
Hey.
you go, Rich. How you
What's
doing,
up,
Rich?
man?
Hey chaps, how you doing?
Hey.
Doing good, fella. You got your friend there to your left, I see.
Rich,
Oh,
hold
Benji.
that. Rich, hold that mug up again. Hold that mug up.
This one. Wow. Oh my
It's a
god.
conspiracy, I tell you.
It's close.
Bring it closer.
Not far off.
Yeah, it's close.
Holy shit. Never mind, Lue Elizondo. That's phenomenal.
That was pretty close.
He's just been out and bought that, and he's not stupid. We've got Q.
All right.
How you
Oh,
doing,
right
mate?
on.
This is the first time I've ever had Q on. I've been on Kyle's show with him. How you doing, my man?
It's great to be here. Great to be here. How the hell are you, Ollie?
I'm good, mate. Thank you, Mr. DB Cooper. Oh, he's a beautiful man, and he knows some shit as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I like Mr. DB. Oh, you know it's Mr. DB as soon as you see Superman.
All the time.
And he is a super guy.
He is a super guy. Q.
Yes, sir.
What? I think I know where Rich is with TTSA, Lue Elizondo, and all that jazz. I don't know where you sit with it.
Would you like me to be polite?
No, just speak your mind, mate.
Well, the nicest way I can put this up is, in our country, Ollie, loo is short for toilet. And that's where I believe the shit that comes out of his mouth should be.
Okay. I did. So you're on the opposite scale of Kyle with this.
Completely opposite. Kyle and I have gone to head to head over this a number of times. There's so many things about Lou that I personally don't appreciate. Don't get me wrong. I would love for Lou to bring out something, anything of interest, and I will completely take back everything I've ever said about him. But up to now, I can't see one thing that he's actually done for this community in any way.
That's what I say.
But
That
anybody-
surprised me from you.
Yeah.
I thought you would be up about the Lou.
Oh no, definitely not. Name one thing, Ollie, that Lou has brought to this community. One
Well,
thing.
I think he's made an out of date beard trendy again.
I was
Okay.
doing that.
Yeah, I'd go with Richie on this one.
Something with substance. You could say the 3 videos, right? Didn't he bring
Yeah.
those to TTSA? That opened up a lot of eyes. Whether
Yeah.
they're bullshit or not.
Can I
But
say
it's not
something around that too, real
It's not
quick?
legit. Yeah.
Hey, so I agree with Rich. Like there, and there is going to be, when the dust settles, some good that came out of Lou and this group coming into ufology. But it's premature to talk about that while they're still here damaging ufology and using it for their own agenda. At least in my opinion, if you go into the hospital and the doctor's like, "Hey, you got a big cancer in your leg, and we got to cut your foot off past the knee," you're thinking at the time, "Shit, I'm going to lose my leg. What's this going to do to me?" You're not thinking at the time until a year later down the road when you're alive and you're walking down the beach with your kids and your dog, and then you're like, "Hell yeah, I'm happy it was just a leg, and I see the good for what came out of this. I lived, and I'm stronger for it, or whatever, more respectful of the benefits that life has given me, But you can't do that when you're in the midst of it and the cancer's still eating its way up your leg and threatening to go up into your thigh and then up into your organs and kill you. At some point you gotta really say we can't talk about the good that he's done until we stopped the bad that he's doing. And that's kind of how I feel about it. We will have this conversation someday, but it's after the damage is done and the guy's gone. Then we can talk about the good that actually came out of the scenario, if that makes sense.
Rich, my mug twin, where do you align with this? I think I know the answer. That
Well, okay. I personally, I think he has done quite a bit in terms of his lending his personality and credibility to the subject. Don't forget that he's also been endorsed by Harry Reid, and he's brought
Yep.
a lot of credibility into the subject. Both him and Chris Mellon have done that just by their appearance and the credentials that they brought into it. I don't think that can be underestimated. So personally, to start off with, I think he's done a lot in moving the subject on in terms of take up with the establishment. Now, secondly, take up with the establishment.
one moment, Rich. Welcome, Miss.
It's Ian. Ollie, it's Ian.
Welcome, Ian, mate. We'll come to you in a second, mate. I just wanted to say welcome to the show, my friend.
Cheers, fella.
So secondly, obviously, when you start getting the establishment in, there are certain agendas that follow, and that's something that we have to guard about. And I don't necessarily think that all of these agendas are on the table yet. We can't see what those are. And my final thought is that what I see at the moment is that he's starting to talk about a lot of fringe stuff that's not related to UFOs at all. And I think you start doing that when you've run out of evidence and you've run out of data and you've run out of things to actually give people. So you start broadening the field, you start dragging other things in. And to me, that's a bit of a red light. It tells me there's not much else there, to be honest, unless he comes up with something else.
And Rich, he's also putting feelers out there because he wants to get in the good graces with everybody on YouTube and Twitter and all that. He's trying his hardest to, say, hey, I'm just like you. I have experiences. I'm a remote viewer. I believe in this weird stuff too, which I don't believe. But I don't know.
Yeah, as I say, this is all yet to come out as the truth, or proven otherwise. But at the moment, I feel we're in this hinterland where what we actually need is a little bit. I think, we're all talking about it. We just need a little bit more substance to what's actually going on.
Agreed.
That there seems to be lots of changes around the edge, and not a lot actually happening where we want to see it. And that's frustrating for everybody. And that's why some people maybe are turning against him, some people with good reason to do that, and others just out of frustration.
It's a pub mentality. Do you remember when pubs weren't Harvester Red's restaurants?
Yes.
There was always a guy in the pub, and we're talking like the 80s, pre-internet, and they'd have the most amazing bullshit story. And it was uncheckable. No one could check it because we didn't have the internet. Well, now we can check it. So we can call out people for being bullshit artists. We can.
Hey, that's what I did with Who's Lou. Exactly that.
Well, arguably, the disclosure that we've been brought, they say that they don't know what these things are, which means that all the bullshitters from the pub can come back out because they've got free reign to say whatever the hell they want again because nobody knows what it is. So, well, why not just make it up? Because they can't be fact-checked. And that's the mentality of the bullshitters. So they're coming out of the woodwork, left, right, and centre at the moment. You're quite right in saying that as soon as people start to lose sight of the facts, they bring the woo on board. And as soon as that woo is awful. It is terrible. People are talking about fairies. People are talking about everything and linking it to UFOs. And we have nothing at the moment but conjecture.
One thing that frustrates me about Lou is when he's asked the question, why don't you tell us more? He always turns around and he says, it's not because I want to break me NDA, me Non-Disclosure Act. It's because I don't want to go against the trust of the American public.
What?
What does that even mean?
Tom,
That
Tom
makes
DeLong.
no sense
Tom DeLong,
whatsoever.
after he'd spoken to the leading generals and whatever, the information he came back with was that the general public would thank them for covering it up. Like, again, what does that mean? Is that another woo hook?
Again, subjective interpretations, because, you know, as you asked, what does the quote unquote American public mean? Is that Lue's version of the American public, his narrow view? And what does that have to do with the world, you know, public opinion? Because this has become a global issue. And I wanted to touch on that earlier. You know, like when you guys are talking about disclosure overseas, it's different than what's been going on over here for the large part. And because of our different medias, we have different perspectives on that, you know, and it's more important now than ever that you sift through all that. I think we all would agree that pretty much every mainstream outlet's got some kind of agenda and isn't giving us the truth. That's why Rich, all of us are out here, the other Rich, all of us are out here trying to find the truth, you know, because we know that they all are playing us one way or the other, left, right, it doesn't matter. They're all just in it for clicks and views and money, and they don't care about truth anymore, it seems, you know. And that's honestly why I felt I had to do what I did on Lue, because I had done this digging and I knew this information and tried to explain it to people, but they wouldn't take my word for it. They still, and I don't want them to. Go take my facts for it. Don't take my word for it. Take my evidence, you know, like, and I thought that's why you came on here, is because you were going to give us a counterpoint of view, and that's what I really want to talk about. It sounds like you're saying the same thing, Ian, about, you know, Lue. You're saying he's a woo artist. He's BSing.
What?
I mean, where's the facts?
Well, as far as I know, he's hiding behind NDAs. That's as he's saying that he knows a lot more, but he just can't say it at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So when is he going to be able to say it? Because he hasn't given us a time frame. He hasn't indicated whether he's contacted the people who he's signed the NDAs with and asked them for a release of that NDA.
Have you ever sat down and talked with somebody who's got one of those NDAs, who worked, like, let's say TD Barnes, who worked at Area 51 for 20 years? He'll tell you exactly the names of the projects that he worked on that he can talk about, and he'll say everything else is still classified. I can't speak about it. That's an up and up guy on the up and up, giving you the straight dope. He's not trying to mislead you in any way, shape, or form, and that's the complete opposite of what we have with Mr. Elizondo.
Wait,
there is a
never...
mindset to that, though. I mean, I sign NDAs, and you do have to stick to them. You do.
But Lue doesn't say who the NDAs are through, hasn't he?
I signed the Official Secrets Act quite a few years back in the 1990s when I was working on stuff.
I've done installations with Rolls-Royce, so yeah.
So wait, so Lue never specified who the NDAs are through?
Well, that's an important point to make, Rich, because they could be with the government, or they could be with TTSA, or they could be with the, you know, Lockheed Martin. Who knows? NDAs can be signed between private entities and corporations and the government. Anyone can. I mean, I could ask you to sign an NDA, Rich. You know, I mean, that's just how these things are set up. So we don't know. We don't know what it's limited to, or who or what it's protecting. And that is a blanket denial, in my opinion. Anytime he gets into rough territory, he just goes, NDA, I can't talk about that. But then he alludes to it.
When I worked for Rolls-Royce, I was military cleared to work for them, as was my partner at the time. We went through the whole the process to do that. It took a few weeks for them to do it as well. And I didn't sign a military NDA. I signed a commercial NDA with Rolls-Royce.
Yeah,
although I was military cleared.
I was saying, yep. Totally.
I actually signed what they called the Official Secrets Act, which was a government one.
Yeah,
but I was working
that as well
in a private enterprise.
So if Lue said that, then we would have more evidence that then maybe we can go after those people and say, hey, do you have an NDA with Lue? I mean, is that what he's worried about?
Well, that would depend who it was, Rich, because
I know, yeah.
If it's with the government, you see, we can use the Disclosure Act, but if it's with a private company, they don't have to disclose anything.
Right.
And that's why the government work with these private companies, because they don't have to tell us a thing. But I think that Lue's whole NDA thing, whether it be with the government, whether it be with an organisation connected with the government that are privately owned, or whatever title you want to put to it, I think that is just a free get out of jail
Oh yeah,
free card.
yeah,
You think that's the man in the pub?
yeah.
Bullshit story. That's his backup. Oh, I couldn't tell you I've got an NDA, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one can check that.
It's
Hey, and
it's
just-
a loophole.
Just for the record, too, invoking national security when it's not official, like to hide something, is a crime. Now, that's national security. It's not an NDA. It's kind of the same thing here, and that tells you ethically, people who have NDAs should be very responsible with them and not abuse them, because it will really weaken the public's trust in these systems, if people abuse them. If somebody comes up and says, "Oh, it's national security," and you're like, "No, it's not." Lue doesn't have anything to do with national security anymore. He's not officially working for the government unless he were to release
his body
something.
language checks out. His body language checks out 100%. It really does. His recall is perfect. So he is either James Bond. He's been so well trained as some kind of
wait.
agent.
Did you see the interview he did with John Greenwald on the Black Vault, where he was talking about his alleged time at Guantanamo Bay? Watch that and talk about body language, and watch how he twists his hands into a freaking pretzel.
Oh my God!
And he scurries his brow and he looks down. No offense, but I've got a great BS detector, and that's why I kick butt on the poker table. And I would slap the stinking. I would take all of his chips.
Looking up his fantasy, looking down is accurate recall.
No, it's actually guilt. It's actually other things. It's also
hang
extreme.
their head with guilt.
Hold on. Extreme nervousness. I mean, I've watched enough investigations. I'm just saying body language is interpretive. I'm saying my read on it is completely different. Look at his initial press release, the smirk on his face when he says the phenomenon is real. I paused on it in the movie to make the point. Look at the smirk on his face at the MUFON symposium when he's saying, "Nobody leaked these videos or I'd be an orange." And he's got this look on his face like the kid who just stole candy from the store and got caught. I mean, what do you mean about body language jiving? Where is this coming from? I just don't see it. That's why I'm saying, if you've got evidence of it, like I did and put in my film, let me see the evidence. Otherwise, it's just interpretation.
What else?
Manny,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to quickly say, anybody watching now that wants to come, and I would like to hear from the other side that is all from all about Lue. Otherwise, this thumbnail doesn't mean shit. But
Ollie, I've got another 5 minutes or so. My wife's just got out of the bath. She's in a onesie with a towel on her head.
Well, let's give him his chance to say what he wanted to say, since he's got limited time. If there's anything else you wanted to say while you're here, bud.
definitely, mate. Don't let that bathwater go.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Look, I've been across. I was a Gufonian. I went across. Started with Thomas's show. They are a great crowd. They really are. It's such a shame that Rich has fallen out with Thomas. It really is, because ultimately they did respect each other a lot. I know Rich don't think that was the case, but Thomas is very grateful for you helping him to get to 1,000 subscribers.
No, he shows it with his memes and all his attacks.
Well, yeah, I know. Yeah, well, there ain't no bitchier than a gay man, believe me. If he will give as good as he gets.
Hey, well, he started it.
Well, there we go. So stop. But I mean, like with this whole thing over Lue, people have started challenging each other to fights on the field after school. What's going on?
That was Lue. He said he was going to drag people behind the barn. You forget who started it. Like your chronological order of
I'm
events
not.
is a
No,
little off.
whoa. You're saying that I'm having a problem with one side or the other. I'm thinking it's all bad. Nobody should be challenging anyone to fight. Okay?
Nobody's challenging anybody after school.
I wish you'd said that when Lue did it.
I put out.
No, you keep saying that, Manny. I am saying it about Lue. Nobody should be challenging anyone to fight.
You're a month late, brother.
I'm not blaming you. I'm not blaming Rich. And I even said that in the chat. I'm saying that. Everyone was saying you're on Team Fessler. You go and tell your buddies. I don't get replies to my messages, to my PMs. I put up show ideas all the time. I go and spend days researching subjects, and I bring all the stuff up, and then it just gets wasted. There was pertinent stuff I could have brought to Rich's show, and he knows this, and I held it back because I was going to do it at Thomas's show, and it never ended up getting covered. So
can I ask one quick question, man? I mean, you were there in his chat when he's doing all of these attacks on people. You had to have seen that all this came out after Who's Lue. Well, yeah, I'm sorry, he was attacking Rich forever. And you say that. So you saw it all. Did you tell him to stop? Did you tell him he was crossing a line? Did you tell him that no matter what his irrational
It's
justification
obvious.
is,
That's common
it's not?
sense.
So
So
you
I
didn't.
just switched. No, I switched off and watched the
And no,
SCP
neither did
Foundation.
it. Neither. No,
I
you didn't. You
switched
stayed
off
there.
and
I watched you.
watched SCP
You were there
videos.
every night. Come on,
Yeah,
man.
no. I pop out the chat. I've got a double monitor
and
set up.
neither did
I have the
anybody
chat
else.
on one, and I
So
listen
you-
to the SCP Foundation stories. I've nearly
So
watched them all now.
complacency. Do you know what complacency is? It's when you see a problem and you don't address it. Complacency.
I have no
So you're
power to
complicit.
address it. I have no power to address it. If I was
you
to
do.
attempt to
Yes,
address it,
you
I
do.
get called out. If
Yes,
you
you
are
do.
truly watching, if you're truly watching the
Ian,
chat,
I want you to look up Kitty Genovese in New York in the 70s, and then we'll have this conversation, all right? She
Okay,
was
and
murdered
watch
in
how
front
many
of
times-
70 people, and they all said the same thing that you did while she was raped and murdered in the streets of New York. They all said the
Watch how
same
many
thing.
times
Not one
Manny-
of them lifted a finger to do anything, and I am not that guy. I will
Manny-
walk out in the street and stop it. I will call
Same
Tim
here.
Fesser out.
Same here.
I call my own viewers out. I tell them not to do that. I tell them to
Yep.
let the trolls stay in the chats. This is not it's not a two-sided fight. It's one side attacking the other, and you were there with them. You were there with them, and you didn't call them out, so you're part of the problem. All right, that's what I'm going to say.
I get ballsed out. I get ballsed out every other show.
Well, I get muted the second I go in the channel to say something. So there you go. What does that tell you about the echo chamber and the people who can actually articulate what they're thinking and feeling and have facts to support it, and the ones who have to censor people because they can't?
All I know is that I'm an experiencer, and I came to this because I wanted answers, and nobody's got any answers, and that just leaves me feeling terrified.
What answers do you want? Do you want disclosure? Is that what you're talking about? Because Lou's not
I
going to give
want
it
to
to
know.
you.
I want to know what the things are that have appeared in my bedroom at night. Things that have pulled the covers off my bed and screamed at me, and then dissipated into thin air.
Ian, I'm 100% with you, man. I want full disclosure. I don't want to know what's in my skies today. I mean, I do, but I also want to know what happened at Roswell. I want to know how we've been lied to. I want to know how the world has been lied to and manipulated for the sake of the world. I live in the United States, and I want this lie exposed. I've apologized for the disclosure lie 2 years ago when I did my alien disclosure event. I said, you know what? I apologize to the world that you were lied to by my ancestors. By my ancestors. I feel bad about it, but you know what? I was lied to as well, and so was Rich and every other American that isn't in on this little program. You know,
Okay.
we were all lied to, and we want the truth for you, but full disclosure, not this neutered version, not this neutered defense industry version.
That's true, but we can't kill Lou just because he's not giving us the disclosure that we want. I mean,
Hey, you don't wanna kill him.
you're blaming Thomas.
Yeah, I don't want to kill him.
You're blaming Thomas for the Lou thing, and it's
What?
like
I blame Thomas for what he did.
Rob
Thomas,
has got, now
what are you
Rob,
talking about?
because Rob got Lou, not Thomas, right? Rob is a dear friend of mine. He's a lovely bloke. He's a combat vet with serious PTSD.
What does that have to do with Thomas
Okay.
white knighting for Lou and putting all these people up to this garbage?
It's not that. It's the kind of shit that Dark Sky's sending to Rob. He's being really out of order at the moment. Threatening.
Oh, really?
him,
Really? You mean the
blokes
guy
and
that
all of
Rob
this.
and Tom
Oh.
attacked responded? Maybe they shouldn't have gone after him. Are you out of your mind? Do you not understand the chronological order of things that happen?
No,
Right.
honey, I don't. I'm not involved.
Well, look at the
I've kept
timestamps.
myself
Well,
out
then
of it.
look at the timestamps on everything. Nobody went after anybody. All that those people came after us after
Right.
Who's Lou came out, 100%. And if they don't like how people responded to it, maybe they shouldn't have attacked all these other people. Did you see me respond to it? Did you see me go into his chat and dox him like he did to me? Did you see me put all his dirty laundry on the internet?
Manny, other
You want me
people.
to? You saw what I did to Lue Elizondo, and I was being nice. I wouldn't do
Yeah.
that. I'm not that
No,
person.
you didn't. You didn't, Manny, but your moderators did.
No, my moderators,
and Rob-
prove that. Prove that right now, or retract your statement as a fucking fiction. Prove it. My moderators didn't do anything, and I am sick of answering for your guys' stories about what I did because they're simple excuses so that Tom can justify his garbage, and you too, if that's what you're going to do. I'm not going to put up with it. Prove what you just said, or you're just as big a liar as Tom is.
Rob is a very dear friend of mine, and anyone that attacks him is going to get the sharp end of my tongue.
Maybe Rob shouldn't be attacking people.
Right.
Are you? What can I say? People on the internet don't like it when you attack them. Duh.
Yeah, like
What do you-
nobody does. So everyone needs to stop fighting.
Tell your boy Rob to do that. He's the one that's aggressing this. He's the one who did it. Why are you here preaching to us? I didn't do anything to Rob. Show me where I did one thing to Rob other than mute him when he attacked me. All I did was block him. That's it.
And I purposely ignored that whole channel, and they still did shit about me and making memes and videos. I didn't do anything.
Rich, it becomes difficult to watch. It really does.
Yeah,
it becomes
I know.
difficult to watch.
Well, let them know. You know, we're reacting to their actions. We're not the ones starting all this shit.
Ian, I've been personally attacked for months because of my exposure to Lue Elizondo. I have taken so much damage, I can't even explain it to you right now, and it will go into a film someday with all of the evidence to show you, and people are going to be mortified. And guess what? Your name is in those chats that's going in that film because you were there, all right? You were there telling that person that it's fun. You were there laughing at their jokes, and you were a party to it, and you didn't say squat. So if you're okay with that, fine. But you got to understand that I'm documenting all of this, and it will come out someday. It will. It's just not appropriate now because I have a bigger fish to fry, and it ain't Tom Fessler. It's Lue Elizondo.
Ollie, for the record, I'd like it if everyone stopped fighting. I'd like to go back to the wonderful, exciting, enchanting world of UFOs that we had 6 months ago.
We can get back there again, mate. I just wish I'd have opened a bottle of wine now.
Stick with the
great
Yorkshire
that you
tea.
say that, though, Ian, and you hang out with the guy who's
Yorkshire
you're doing
tea,
it,
mate.
The guy who's doing all the attacks is your friend Tom and Rob. And it's funny that you're over here trying to tell us not to respond to what they're doing. That is just it is hypocritical, man.
Yep.
Would you do that?
I'd do what Jesus does. I'd turn the other cheek.
I did that, and you just called me a jerk for it. I did it. I didn't respond at all. Yeah, you did. You accused me of doing the same thing that Rob and Tom had done to me, and that is so much bullshit. Oh, okay. I'm sorry you didn't say it.
No. That's called straw manning. That's called straw manning when you take some sentence that someone said and blow it out into a quarter of an hour.
Okay, then say what you said. You were there the whole way. Oh, whatever. There's your reason number 5 not to listen. I get it.
Mate. Manny, get a grip.
Guys.
Ooh, guys. Yeah. Ditto, dude. Ditto.
Can I just interject here?
Of course you can, Rich.
Thank you. I think
we need your calming grace.
We're all sensitive. It's not going to take much to send us over the edge here, mate. We're all sensitive.
Exactly. And
none of us got disclosure we wanted.
Can I address this, please? You just give me
a
second.
Go ahead, Rich.
I think the whole of the planet, every one of us, has been under a psychological cosh for the past 24 months.
Right on.
And everybody is hurting in one way or another. We all are.
Not like me.
Whether we show it or not, or whether we put up a big front, we're all, every single one of us. And what I would just suggest to everybody is that we're going to show it in different ways, and it's being seen all over the internet, and this is why it's happening. And so have a think about that. Have a think about where all this anger is coming from, and it might not be from the place that you think it is. Just think.
Well said,
I don't know
Rich.
what that means.
Well said, Rich.
I don't know what that means. What do you mean?
I
can't react. I'm not allowed to react.
No. I think what Rich is saying there is that what emotions run high right now. If we hadn't had the nearly 3 years that we've had, we may be having a different conversation about this and maybe a little bit calmer. But there's a lot of built up anger, and I just wanted to say. Thingy Bob, thank you. I've been dying to thank you. He changes his name constantly, but I like Thingy Bob. That's the best one. I appreciate the super chat.
You're right, though, Ollie. There is anger, and Rich is touching on it, and I just touched on it. I'm surprised that it was just ignored in the conversation there, that I said I've been personally attacked, and I haven't articulated exactly what's all come out, but I know that Ian knows because he was there. There's a lot more. Am I angry for that? Yes, I'm absolutely angry. These people smeared my name to discredit me in order to assassinate my character because they couldn't argue with my facts. Just like Ian had said.
Shut up,
hold on.
You smeared me.
You know what? Go to hell. Don't tell me to shut up. Cut me off, you rude, arrogant asshole.
Yeah,
this is why I don't talk to you.
I'm matching
Ollie,
you,
will you mute this guy so I can talk?
You blocked me,
Fine,
and then
fine. Go ahead
basically...
and be a blowhard then. Go
yeah,
ahead.
Yeah, mate.
Go ahead. No, it's your platform.
Boys,
You
God.
banned me from talking on your channel. Your moderators banned me, and then you went on to
Well,
go,
then email
I'm
me.
Mysterion this, I'm Mysterion this.
What, you mean like
Pages
you're
and
talking
pages.
over me
It
now?
was a
You
tirade.
blowhard asshole?
A
You can't
tirade
handle it when
against
people
me.
do it to you, but you
And
want
I
to do it to
couldn't
other
even know
people?
that I couldn't even...
God, you're a hypocrite.
just have a little bit of peace there for a second, boys.
What'd you
calm
do? You
down.
muted him?
I literally, we're trying to get a word in edgeways.
Why?
What are you
Because,
muting him
boys,
for?
Because, boys, you need to...
We're
just
getting
calm
shit
down.
out.
Yeah, but he blocked me and he wouldn't let me talk.
I
His
don't
room
know
blocked
what
me. They then went on pages of tirades against me, telling me how bad I was, and I couldn't reply to any of it. So, sorry,
Really?
mate. That's bully tactics, Manny. You need to get a grip and stop it. Seriously,
just-
mate.
Boys, what... I don't actually know what's gone off here, but there's a lot of testosterone in the room right now.
Yeah, right. There is, Ollie.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, we all have different views. But when you're yelling each other like that, I don't think you're actually, neither of you winning. So if one of you speaks,
Yeah, but Manny stops you from speaking, then says all this shit against you, and you can't even
Are
reply
you out of
to
your
it.
mind? You just did
You
that to
can't
me.
even
I was in the
reply
middle of a
to it,
sentence.
Ollie.
Never mind.
Yeah, because you're dominating the floor, Manny. Back off. Chill out, mate.
You've had your speak. Now let me say
No,
mine.
I haven't
What
had
is
my
your
speak.
problem?
I haven't had my speak because it's all been you so far, Manny. Shut
Oh, okay,
your
we just
mouth.
went around the story. Okay, go ahead and attack me some more. Fine, this is why I
Yeah,
don't talk
come
to
on,
you, 'cause
Richie,
you're
let's have some more
belligerent.
sense from you, please. Rich, GUFON.
Look, there you go.
Please
There's your bully right
speak
there.
sense.
There's your bully. He can't.
Can't hear you yet. Let him put his thing on.
Yeah, come on, Rich. So, Manny, you can't go blocking
Quit,
people,
quit,
then having a
quit,
tirade
quit,
against them,
quit.
and then saying that
I'm
I've
not
called you a jerk.
Oh
I haven't
my
had a chance to
God.
call you a jerk, mate.
Jesus, dude, do you want to
Richie.
talk or do you just want to rant at me?
Rich, please speak sense to us. Rich, speak sense to us.
May I just interject? a
Oh my
moment?
God. Oh my
Please, mate.
God.
Come on, let's
May I
hear it.
just say something for a moment?
Of course you can.
Right. The community I come from, I suppose I'm most known from Kyle, UFO Proof. And over there, as Ollie will agree with, there's the likes of myself, Ollie, Kyle, Cooper, Jax. There's so many of us, and we all have a completely different points of view when it comes to aliens, UFOs, whether they've been here, whether they've always been here, whether they've never been here. I mean, I personally fully believe that aliens exist in the universe. Whether they've been to Earth, that's where I'm stuck. Now, I have seen the odd thing, but nothing fancy. Nothing that's going to blow your socks off, and nothing that I've got proof of. So it's only a story. And not even a very good one, to be perfectly honest. Now, over there, what we have always done is talked about these things. Now, I don't know what's gone on, what this conversation has been over. And I understand that emotions are running high, and I understand that because obviously, well, for choice of words, shit has gone backwards and forwards.
No shit went backwards and forwards. All I
Well-
said was children choose fists when words fail. I got the message retracted, and then the entire chat room turned on me. I got timed out, didn't get a chance to even reply. And for pages of the chat, everyone was at Mysterion, you're just a shill, you're being paid by Lue, all this sort of stuff for ages. And I couldn't respond to any of it.
And
That's
can I-
bullying. That's silencing someone and not allowing them to speak.
And
Was this in
can
my
I-
channel?
Yes, Manny.
And excuse me, can I just
News
say?
to me.
Can I just say? Can I just say for a moment? I was actually speaking and got interrupted there, which
Yeah,
is
sorry, mate.
something that you were just accused of doing. So, please, do like Ollie said, and let people have their say, and then counter speak. That's not having a go, by the way. That's just...
No, I know what you mean, but it looks like you're grave trolling if you wait till it for 2 minutes and then go back to something, you know.
So anyway, where I come from, we all have different points of view. We all talk it out, and everybody gets their speak, and that's what we need to do in this community. The other thing we need to do in this community is when we get the obvious bullshit, we all, whether you're a fan of the person or not, let's all say 3 of us here are fans of Suck Your Team. Oh, sorry, I meant to say Secure Team. Whether we're fans of that particular person or not, we all have to listen to everybody's point of view and talk it out. Screaming at each other is not going to help Ollie's stream. It's not going to get us anything sorted. And we do need to thrash these things out, but we need to do it in a reasonably sensible way. GUFON.
Dude, we're both from Liverpool. How we could plan on doing that?
GUFON.
Hey, calm down.
You took your headset off before. You were obviously not happy with what was going on. What do you have to say, mate?
No, I was not happy with the way people were being muted, and I wanted to go get my weed so I can calm down. So
I only muted so I could get a word in.
Never do that. Never do that during a heated argument like that, man. I'm just telling you, we could be missing out.
I know.
I'm
Rich,
giving you a hard time because I
know
can.
what the argument was actually about, because I just couldn't understand that.
I understood it. Hey, it wasn't that hard to figure out. I know, Ollie. I'm not mad at you. I'm not. I just think you should have just let it keep going, because we got to get it out. And yeah, I'm frustrated with everybody, because nobody's hurting as much as me or Manny. And you guys don't know. You just say, "Oh, I'm upset because I got blocked. I'm upset because you wouldn't let me speak." Well, how would you like your living taken out from you? Just because you're speaking your mind. That's what the cancel culture. That's what they do over there, and that's what I fight against all the time. So I tried to ignore. Manny tried to ignore them, but they just keep bringing it on and on and on. So when's it going to stop? And who's going to stop them? Nobody. YouTube will have to see that they're false striking and false flagging everybody, and eventually it'll come back on them. That's all we can do.
Well, hopefully it will come back on them, Rich, because more than any, I do not agree with that. I think anybody that tries to remove someone's channel is just an arsehole.
It's like tribal warfare.
Yeah.
It's fascinating, isn't it? And it all goes in one direction of travel.
Yes. Yes.
And that's...
And what is that? Who is that?
Well, it's let's say it's a conservative voice, or it's a Republican voice.
It is?
No, I think they tried to shut down conservative and Republican voice.
Oh, for sure.
That's the direction of travel, always.
Yeah, I know.
Almost always.
That's the cancel culture. That's the wokeists and the left. And look, I have nothing against people who are left. I just have things against those who act out. And if they were right or left, I would treat them the same way. It doesn't matter. It just happens to be that they're on the left, and that's all. It's all I know. I don't have these problems with people on the right. It's weird. And anytime I argue with somebody, I always say to myself, I wonder if they're right or left. And I find out months later, oh, they were left. Oh, no wonder. We just won't get along for some reason. And I hate that we're split. But I hate it. The politics are in ufology, and now it's getting to the point where it's being infiltrated with new channels almost every day, it seems like, trying to make a name for themselves. We need to come together. We need peace. I'm like, yeah, and then you're going to stab me in the back if you don't like what I said in one sentence. Mm-hmm. So, this is a hard thing we're in, right? It's the hardest ufology's ever been. I've never seen it this way. It's bad.
I think
we need to stop it. We need to all sit down, smoke a joint, and go and chat for hours in the kitchen.
I just don't know why, if you don't like what somebody says, you just don't watch them. Who cares? I don't watch them.
Hey, Mike Gimbel brought up a good point. He says using labels is the first problem, and he's absolutely right about that the media has been doing this to us for a long time over here, for at least 10 or 12 years, really trying to get people to label each other and then divide us. It's been a separation, and we're seeing a smaller version of that in ufology due to that same media divisiveness. You know, it's something that I've talked about in other platforms, but I'm going to be talking about more and more when I talk about Lue and all this stuff, because it's relevant. You know, that divisive culture, get people to pick sides. And, you know, where you said you don't have problems with people on one side or the other, I've found that to not be true. I find that I have problems with extremists of all kinds, whether they're far left right or far left right. You get what I'm saying? Or whether it's religious or
but in
whatever.
Ufology,
We don't really have that in the UK. We don't have that in the UK here. So it's confusing for us, you see.
Fair enough.
People into ufology in the UK have been classed as cracks and weirdos forever, and we still are. So, like, for people in the UK to be doing this, we're going out on a limb. For me to attach this to my own social media channel, like my personal channel, I wouldn't want to do that, because it would make me look like a crack and a weirdo in front of all my clients and colleagues.
Ian, I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of people that, when I've been bringing out the light on Elizondo from the international community, like on Facebook and Reddit and stuff, they are very behind this disclosure push, because I think that they're hungry for you. The world is.
Yeah,
and, you know, like you said, like there's a stigma over there that people in your country want to have removed. I'm finding that same thing is true in Italy and lots of European countries. Yeah. And my answer to that is, I'm not trying to stop that. I'm trying to get that for you guys, but full disclosure for you as well as us. You know, like the government and the people who know aren't going to tell the American people anything they're not willing to tell you guys. That's the truth. We know that they lie to us just like they lie to you, because everything we get goes right to you guys. We have that freedom of information here. As long as we don't have our echo chamber, we have that freedom of information, you know. So keep in mind that, you know, like I understand what you're saying. I think it's an important point. This is international, and people from different regions are viewing it differently based upon how it's been historically viewed in that region. And just keep that in mind. There are people that want to bring that to you that are not necessarily the people that are trying to do it for their own best interests, but for everyone's.
Do you feel that Lue is riding another Greer train, and that, you know, 5-10 years from now, then Lue is going to be Greer?
I'm afraid that he's way more dangerous than that, because of his associations with the defense industry and who they associate with. I wish it was just that simple. And if it was where I could just turn a blind eye to him and let him become our Nick Pope, I would. But he's way too dangerous for that, for what he's doing with Congress and all this other stuff that needs to be used in the right ways. You know, the UFO office to me is just another ATIP, and it's going to be used and exploited just like ATIP was. It's not going to be used in our best interest. So
how was ATIP exploited?
Well, because there's two ATIPs. There's one that's on paper as what it was mandated by the DOD to do, and then there's one that actually happened, which is what these senators and this cadre of people inside the Pentagon actually made it do. And that we're finding out that those are two different things. That this program actually. Well, if you believe Lue's involvement, that he was involved in it for 10 years, but it was only supposed to be operating on paper for 4 years, then it's a rogue operation for 6 years.
So,
the fact that
what was rogue about it?
Well, hold on. Can I answer one question before we get into another?
What was it doing that was so bad? Tell me. What?
Well, it was mandated to be investigating advanced foreign aerospace threats from our potential adversaries, which in all CI and IC terms and papers means Russia and China. There was nothing in there about UFOs. Actually, I didn't see anything about UAP even, other than the flight characteristics of what they were trying to advance. And honestly, I outlined all this in the film. If you haven't seen the whole thing, it's in there.
Just asking for the sake of the.
Well, no, that's. Things like yeah, fair enough, Rich. I love it, man. But I did. I think that's all in the film because it's important to this story, and I think people should go and watch it. It's only 3 hours. I mean, I know it's a long investment, but people invest that on Twitter every day. Give me a break. If you're really interested, go out and find it. People are blackballing this thing because it's so abhorrent, but they can't argue with the facts in it. They just want to smear my character. Not you. I mean, other people. So, and I hope I answered that question.
Well, no, I
Guys,
don't think you do.
guys, I'm going to smoke this joint.
back
I
to it.
rolled half an hour ago, and spend the last half hour of my Sunday night with my wife.
Nice
Manny,
Good for you, Ian, mate.
Manny, peace and love to you, mate. Rich, peace and love to you. All you UK guys,
Ian,
we
peace
should
and
all
love
go
to
and
you
have a
too,
pint
man.
sometime.
I'll make sure that you're unblocked. I didn't know that you were. If you email me, I'll make sure that you get unblocked and that you're allowed to say whatever you want in there, if it's respectful. Because I only tell people to block people if they're being directly attacking.
I'm not.
yeah.
I'm not. I'm just trying to put my sixpence across. But I won't swear at anyone, and I'm not calling anyone a jerk. Okay.
Yeah, I'll make sure you're unblocked, man. I again apologize if that happened.
Ollie, love you, man. Keep
All right,
doing
yeah.
what you're doing.
Cheers, mate. Cheers, mate. Thanks for coming on. That he gave me. I got some goose pimples.
No,
During
nice.
that heat debate.
Finally, good to talk to you, mate.
My
All
hair's
right,
on my chest.
guys. Love and light. See ya.
Bye, bye, mate.
Laters.
So I don't actually know what happened, Manny. That's the reason why I'm sorry for muting you boys, but Ian, he's gone now. But I muted because I wanted to ask the question, what actually happened there? So briefly, what actually did happen? Because that's what I didn't understand.
Specifically, what are you talking about with the project, with Lou, with Tom?
No, between
What actually happened in the chat?
what happened
yeah.
between you and Ian. I had no idea what that was about.
Well,
None of us did.
I was trying to make a point and he cut me off is what I felt like. And I in a
did.
live stream scenario like this where, you kind of just got to let people speak and then respond because the audience can't understand what's going on when two people are talking, but he just kept cutting me off. I felt and trying to end what I was saying so he could respond. And I didn't think that was very polite. In fact, I got really annoyed with it.
Yeah, it seemed to have spouted from is it Fesner? Is it Fessler? What's his name?
Yeah.
It seemed to have spouted from that question about his channel and that side of things.
And how he wasn't
that-
how he wasn't telling Fessler to stop.
Yeah, that's when it got heated. I mean, why don't we send Fessler an invite and get him on?
I've tried.
Yeah, I've tried to communicate with him too. And he came into the alien scientist chat when I was on that show. We offered him 3 invitations to come on and speak his point of view, but he decided to instead say, hang out and chat and be obnoxious. So we just kind of had to ignore him. But I've asked him a few times or to provide proof of what he says, and the guy just doesn't want to. He just wants to sit in his little echo chamber, it seems. So
Yeah.
Bring him on. I mean, I'd talk to him anytime, man, face to face. I don't care. I want to talk to him face to face. I want to ask him, and make him answer for the things that he's done. And, not, you see, and that's kind of what I was getting with Mr. Eon, because he was perpetuating this narrative that like Rich and me and Dark Sky and all these other people attacked Tom Fessler. Nobody attacked Tom Fessler. We were sitting there doing our thing. Tom's been attacking Rich for months and he's turned a blind eye to it. He's turned the other cheek. If
Yep.
not, I mean, come on. Everybody sees it. So I had to call that story out as being a story because it is. That's what Tom wants to perpetuate so he can excuse acting the way that he is. And it's just that. It's an excuse.
E-Man, welcome to the show.
Did I miss all the shouting?
No!
We can chat some more.
Noises! I love lamp!
Sorry.
Loud noises!
Somebody
I
beauty.
feel better now. I feel better now. Thank you.
I would really like to have like Rich Underwood. If you want to sit down and watch Who's Lou with me on a live stream, we'll do it. And you can pause it and ask me any questions or make any comments you have.
That's
Like,
a good idea.
I love it, man. I wish people would reach out to me and ask questions because everyone's, talking about what they think the movie means. And I go to my email and I'm like, oh, someone's going to ask me to talk about it. They don't. Nobody asked me what my intent was. Nobody asked me the level of my research. Nobody asked me why my production quality was subpar, which I admit it was. There are reasons for these things, and everyone thinks they know, but the only person who's ever got any intimate knowledge is Rich because he asked me and we talk about it. I mean, Rich GUFON, like we talk about things. So he knows the problems that I've had, and why things are the way they are. But I'm totally open to talk about it. I can't sit on my live stream alone and do it. I need someone to come in and talk. And none of these people will. I've extended opportunities opportunities to all of them. The UCR, Dave Scott, I said, hey, I'll come on your guys' show and talk. But they don't want to have me on there. They don't want to have a real conversation. They just want to talk about their opinions. I want to have a two-way conversation with someone who knows what they're talking about. Rich Underwood, you sound like you do, and that's why I want to talk to you, one-on-one, because you sound like you know what you're talking about. Let's talk. Come on my show, man. Email me afterwards, dude. I'll have you on there this week.
Well, that'd be
if you have time. Yeah, whenever you have time.
Okay. Yeah. Well, probably Thursday is probably my better day for this kind of thing.
Thursday it is.
Manny, that's an enthusiastic yes from an Englishman.
I need the interpretation. That seemed lackluster, but I get it. It's good. I love it. Yeah, we'll do it Thursday then. And thank you, Rich. I appreciate it because I want to get some of these good questions out and answered and show you why I think the way I do. There's a definite reason. It's because I've been doing years of research on this guy and then did 6 months of full-time intense research, and that was it. So I have supporting evidence. I'd like to show it to you.
What did Elman have to say about all this since he's here?
I've never asked you. Are we calling you? Is it Eman?
Elman. Sorry,
right.
I am 2 sheets to 3 sheets of the wind.
Who is it?
But I would love to know what the intent is. What's the intent of the movie? I'll ask that question.
Elman. Do I have to call you Elman? Because
Yes.
okay. I do. I'll try not to call you your real name. That's fine. So we speak a lot about this, but we've never really spoke about Lue. You've never put your views across of what you think about him. And Rich just asked the question, but so what do you think?
I think he's a shithead.
Elaborate.
Who?
Well, so if you have a head and you have shit, and you were to put them together, you would have Lue Elizondo, who I think is selling out the community for a quick buck on behalf. And I just found out that this movie about Lue exists, so I'm definitely going to watch that when I get time. If I get time, that sounds interesting.
It's very good.
Yeah, I think he's a shill, man. I think he's been put up. He's a front. He's just going to distort and cloudy the water, and this type of argument and discussion is exactly what they want because it takes focus away from the subject.
So this is fascinating. I don't particularly sort of. I've got my own thoughts, and I want to keep them to myself at the moment, if you don't mind. But what do you think that this guy's objective is? And you're talking about this muddying the waters, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm.
For what purpose do you think that this all is?
Oh, I mean, that's asking a question from on high. I'm in a trench, man. I'm not even in a trench. I'm hiding behind a tree watching you guys who are in a trench. If we were that smart to figure it out, we would already be in on it. If there are, I mean, that goes to the big if they're there, the big they. If you believe in that. Yeah, I think it is exactly that. So what was it, 6-7 months ago before this? Not even that. I mean, before Lue came on. I mean, granted, he bring the videos which bring some attention from people who don't normally follow. I'll grant him that. But the rest of it has seemed to initiate, arguments between people, right? He's picked a side of favorites, and those sides of favorites, whether it be on his behalf or not on his behalf, have picked those that are the enemy because they are different. So we break that up. When I look at that for what it is, that's just a tactic. It's us and them, right? You raise it up, you rally your people together, you give them a sense of purpose, you point out an enemy and you set them loose. And then you can say, I had no hand in that. And then all the while behind the scenes, you're, hey man, I'm going to give you this piece of information only because it's you. Mm-hmm. And look at this. It's, I have no idea who that other person was, but damn, I wanted to be on time for the shouting. I'm sorry, I'm not. I had to hurry up and eat. That's kind of what I think, man. Elman. We got to get it right. Elman. It's disrespectful among my people if you.
What do you think Lue has brought to the community when it comes to the good side, in your opinion?
Well, see, that's the thing. When you start dealing with people of whatever's Lue background is, which is pretty clouded. He's had
he has a great title, to be fair, doesn't he?
Well, I mean, I can print a business card and give myself an amazing question, or an amazing title any time. But yeah, I mean, he does have government contacts. He does have a government history. He does have that. What I would like to know, and it's kind of something that has been on me for a while, and I've never talked about it publicly. I don't know if this is the right forum to do that. Are you familiar with who Booz Allen Hamilton is?
Not offhand.
That name rings a bell.
This is interesting being a UFO crowd. Where's GUFON? GUFON doesn't know this?
GUFON knows.
You know Booz Allen Hamilton?
Sure I do.
Hey, get Richie!
Were you trying to do meatballs?
Yeah, you got that?
Of course I got it.
Man. Fantastic. Booz Allen Hamilton is one of a handful of private military industrial contractors who are... CIA cannot conduct operations within the United States without federal oversight. To go around federal oversight, they have a substantial amount of contracting that goes on with companies like Booz Allen Hamilton. Go ahead and Google them. They have a wonderful website. Then start looking into the security clearances you have to work for them and who they hire and what they do. They're basically the private intelligence community of the world. There's several other very big companies. They're the biggest. And they're pretty scary. I mean, and genuinely, they are very scary. They typically hire right out of West Point or Annapolis, the best and the brightest people who go through and just disappear for school. They don't go to the fucking CIA. They can go to the NSA, but they'll typically go to like Booz Allen Hamilton because they pay a ton of money. I mean, think about it. If you're a top tier guy, what is the government really going to offer you when they have fixed pay scales? I mean, yeah, they can fluff it up with this and that, but if you're a 153 IQ and a mathematician and you're doing code breaking, do you do it for the NSA or do you do it for Booz Allen Hamilton, who's going to contract you to the NSA and pay you $600,000 a year? Which do you do? It's a pretty easy question.
I know you're not big.
So I think it's strange that I never hear these names in the UFO community, as well as a few others, which, Google it. You'll find them. You'll find the big five. But I don't know. It's just strange, right? I mean, who is Lue? Who is his office? Apparently, there's a movie, the Who is Lue movie. I'm definitely.
That's me.
That. Yeah. I'm looking for, so who is Lue? Are you familiar with Booz Allen Hamilton and the Big Five?
I'm actually not familiar with that company name, but I am familiar with the SAP programs from the defense industry end. And so when you said that, it made perfect sense to me. In fact, I was just making a note to go research them later because you're filling in some blanks for me that I didn't have.
So do it from a VPN, my friend. A good one.
Oh, trust me, I'm all over their radars. Everybody there knows who I am when I called out Mellon. You know?
I mean, that's Mellon. Booz Allen Hamilton, they hold the United States contract for counterterrorism. That's not a joke. That's a $45 billion contract, and that's one of many.
It's huge money. Yeah, it is.
For them, I mean, you got to understand. So look at who their principal partners and ownings are. You're going to get into the big three of who is Vanguard, who is BlackRock, who is State Street. You look at big money like that. You look at the private spy industry that popped up shortly thereafter World War II and just really came in the 50s and 60s. When we see things like ATIP or these different programs that go out to, oh man, sorry, I've had one too many drinks and my mind's clouded. I've had a hell of a day.
You're doing good.
Who's the insane, crazy guy in Vegas who has the alien for a logo? Bob Bigelow.
Bob Bigelow. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Bass.
He has to, Bass. So he has to report, all right? So if you want to do some real digging, I would dig through his financials that they had to put out to the public. I would dig through Booz Allen Hamilton's financial. I guarantee you will find subsidiary partnerships and dealings that will cross paths. And when you do that, you will get a cease and desist. But the thing is, because of the nature of high finance, everything is public if you can dig through it. Now, the smart thing is that a lot of times they'll route those out of Panama, they'll route those out of Cuba, they'll route those out of Uruguay and Paraguay. Those are the famous because you can't get shit from them. Switzerland, not so much. Liechtenstein, that's a great place. I would look there. Money. It's all about money.
Yeah, and it ultimately goes offshore, like you say, so you got to follow it, and it gets hard.
And
it is possible.
There's no way you get through Liechtenstein, Uruguay, Paraguay. Panama can be done if you wire some anonymous person money. Not that I've ever done that or know who those people are, for the record. But yeah, it's different, man. You start messing around with, like, this is the thing. Everyone's like, what does the government know? The government doesn't know shit about shit. They don't know how much they spend on toilet paper. They don't know how much they spend for a hammer. They don't know where anything's going.
Can I say something about that money real quick? So I made a video about that. In 2001, everybody knows Donald Rumsfeld announced to the world that there was $2.3 trillion missing from the American budget. And this vast majority of this money went to the Pentagon and HUD. To date, that number has grown to over $23 trillion, $1 trillion a year, and roughly $1.9 million a minute. So people need to understand that. And what we're talking about are Halliburton $5,000 hammers and $800 rolls of duct tape that are done on no-bid contracts. And we're seeing this all the time now. Bigelow Aerospace got a no-bid contract to do a set of reports for the DoD, and they got $22 million in OSAP money to furnish a dozen reports that nobody else could compete on. Those things could have been full of gibberish and stick figure drawings, and that's the type of programs that I'm afraid of, And meanwhile, sorry, I was going to answer like 3 questions there, but I'll leave it there. There was like 2 more things I wanted to say from earlier, but I'll get to them later. But that's the kind of money we're talking about, and it's huge, huge money. I mean, at $2 million a minute, I mean, we've been on this show over an hour and a half, like that's a substantial amount of money they've made while we've been sitting here talking about it. And it doesn't all go to one contractor. It goes to the DoD contractors, basically to go blow up these countries, and then HUD contractors who are owned by the same companies to go rebuild them afterwards, and it's all on the taxpayers' dime. And it's just a huge industry, and people got to understand that this industry isn't the war industry. It's not going to intelligence. None of it's going away. But does that mean that we have to just sit by and let it? Can't we do something and say, hey, Lou, you're taking all this money for us. Let's use a little bit of that for something good. Let's use it for some legitimate research for the people.
Well, okay. So what do you reply when you get that quote from Lou that says that he's doing this disclosure to repair some of the damage that he did while he was in the defense industry?
So he says, I think the quote you're talking about, he says, I spent a lifetime destroying human lives in the name of national security, or half a lifetime. Yeah. Now I want to spend the other half doing something else, putting people together. What I would say to Lou is I would play to him the other 25 reasons he's given behind his motivations for disclosure. And I would also show him the financial benefits that he's reaped in the last 3 years since he left the Pentagon, or 4 years. And then I would ask him why all of the conflicting statements when it simply appears that he did it for money. And honestly, that's what I would say to Lou. And then I would ask him to provide evidence that he has spent a career destroying lives in the name of national security, because to the best of my information, he was a desk agent. He wasn't like that guy, like he portrays himself as the super spy James Bond, Rambo type. That's the fiction I'm trying to cut through to get to the truth. I do thank Lou for his service to the country, and I've said this before. I just want to find out what that service was.
Well, can I play devil's advocate? Because if Carl was on here right now, he'd be telling us all the people that are putting Lou down in any way, that we're all just shills, we're all just jumping on a bandwagon that was put forward by certain big YouTubers, which I completely disagree with, and I've said this to Carl, because my opinion is my own, whether it's right or wrong. I really don't give a crap. It's my opinion, and it's one of the few things I'm entitled to. But
no, you're not.
Fuck you, GUFON.
Attaboy.
No wonder they got rid of your first channel. But
touche.
Okay. Devil's advocate. Name something good. Everybody name something good. I would say...
About what?
About what Lou's done, yeah.
About what Lou has done.
You can't say he gave the discussion a boost. Forget that. Everybody's talking about UFOs, but that can't be an example. So what
Well,
has he done other than that?
I might surprise you. I actually have one. I do have something that I think he's done good, and that is bring together you and me. He's bringing together the international community, and he's bringing more global light to the subject. You know, Rich doesn't see it because it's not happening here, and it's not in the States. It's the same we've always had, but it's big for you guys, and I want to acknowledge that because it is for the rest of the world. It is, you know. So that's some good that's come out of this, but I don't attribute it to Lue because Lue didn't do it by himself. He did it with the conspiracy of other people, including George Knapp, who turned the whole thing from, you know, an unidentified aerial phenomenon unit or an unidentified technology study into UFO, UFO. You know, like that really, there's a mainstream element to this. And as we were talking about earlier, big money has access to that, not little guys like me and Rich GUFON. You know, it's big money. That money we were talking about earlier, that defense industry money, whether it's a subsection in the defense industry or the legitimate, you know, black book SAP guys. Those are the ones who have that money.
So why is the amount of money bad?
Why? Because they can crush our... Look, I've got 5,000 views on Who's Lue, and Lue Elizondo's been out on every talk show that'll have him, not even the big ones, because of his reach, and he's just flooding the market with his story, and people aren't getting the other side of it. That's exactly what they did in the mainstream, and that's exactly why, and I tried to touch on this in the film without actually holding people's hands through it, but that's why Lue Elizondo, when he shifted onto Twitter in August 2020, I think he joined UFO Twitter, but before that, he wasn't doing any small talk shows. He was explicitly on the big shows and doing unidentified and going that mainstream media route that only money can buy. They got their story on the record first, and they got it louder than anybody who was questioning it, like me, Rich GUFON, and then later Dr. Greer, which, by the way, to say on that, both Rich GUFON and myself were calling out Lue Elizondo far before Dr. Greer ever did. And to people who say that we jumped on his bandwagon, need to go back and look at the videos that both him and I put out questioning TTSA and Lue Elizondo from day one. That was both of us. We were just ignored by Elizondo and ignored by the mainstream.
Can I challenge you on this? And I just say, what if you're wrong? And what if they have a legitimate and not entirely, but generally benevolent objectives for this?
Well, then why wouldn't Lue just come and talk to me? Why wouldn't he? Why would he attack me and smear my name and run around? He was not online.
Manny, just can you just let me just say something?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
All right. No, it's all right.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think, and please don't take this the wrong way, because this is coming from somebody you get very upset very quickly, and I think if you didn't do that, you would probably have a lot more sway with your arguments and things like that.
Hey, I'm sorry.
I do think you need to learn to take some of the sting of your emotion out, and that's why I said this comment earlier. As I say, maybe it's not that, but work on yourself a little bit and then come back. Do you know what I mean? It's too big in your head. Yeah. Find some balance and then do it, because at the moment what you're saying is logical and certainly not unbelievable, okay? But how you're saying it is turning people off, I think.
Well,
Do you understand?
Can I comment on that?
Yeah.
I appreciate your feedback, and I understand what you're saying, and I assume that you're talking about contextually today. And what I'm trying to explain is why Rich and I are so defensive. Why I'm not speaking for Rich, but why I'm defensive is because I have been attacked since I put my voice out in a calm, rational way in my film. I've been attacked for a month straight in ways that I can't even describe to people, although I did expect them. I fully expected this, all of it, and I'm prepared for it, but it's still very hard. And that's why I'm very emotionally close to it right now, because these attacks are coming in as we speak. And I have turned, I feel like I've turned the other cheek to them and tried to put my case out there in a factual way with my slight opinion at the end. And just like it's been ignored for since I've been saying it, it's continued to be ignored, and people have found reasons not to listen. And I appreciate you trying to sift through the raw emotion that I'm feeling here recently to hear what I'm saying. I really do, because a lot of people won't. And I will keep that in mind, when I'm talking about this. I am trying to keep my emotions in check. If I could talk to you off the record, man, I would let you know everything, and it would be a raw conversation. You'd probably say, mate, what the hell are you doing this for? Because I believe in the truth, and I believe in giving a voice to these people who have been bullied for years. There's a lot of everything I've asked has been asked by other people, and they've been bullied into silence, and I hate that. I hate seeing that. They have legitimate questions, and they deserve answers to their questions from the man who promises them full disclosure and yet hasn't really provided much of anything other than his own best interest getting furthered, in my opinion. So I hope that kind of gives a little perspective there, and I do appreciate what you said and being direct with me. Thank you.
That's all right. As I say, I know you're hurting, yeah, and maybe you need to maybe just take a step sideways and deal with that first, and then come back. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and that's good advice. I'll consider what you said.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Rich, do you think that what's been coming out from Lue, because I don't fully know what your opinion on it actually is. But
which one? This one? Oh, sorry, this one? Or
no, you.
Me? Okay.
Yeah.
Go on.
When it comes to Lue, do you think what he said, well, if you like, I'm just going to say it, whether I agree with it or not, what he's done for the community, if that's the way you want to put it, or anybody wants to put
positive things.
Well, just whatever you think his effect on the community is. Do you think it's misinformation? Do you think he's trying to bring it out? Do you think he's a shill? What's your opinion on him? Because you've been sitting in the corner, you've been, you haven't been more vocal like, oh man, or myself, or GUFON, or Manny.
I'll be honest with this. I haven't made up my mind yet, and the reason why I haven't made up my mind is that his objectives aren't clear to me. I know he talks about disclosure.
After 4 years?
Yeah. They're not.
All right, bro.
And they're not. And so I literally just observing this. That's as simple as that. I haven't made my mind up about him.
So you're on the wall.
So what are you waiting for?
Well, this is fair enough, though. I want to.
It is fair.
I'm waiting for his book. I'll be honest.
Yeah, can I comment on that real fast? I think the reason that it's hard to say that you're on board with what he's doing is because what he does changes every few years based around election cycles in the United States, which
exactly.
Okay, so let me cut through that for you. That's because the defense industry is the number one, customer is the U.S. government. That's why it's apolitical, and that's why his agenda shifts depending on how the House and how the Congress is voted on, and then the White House every 2 years. So going forward, keep that in mind, that his agenda will shift along those lines. And the book, as you said, is going to be a great book. I'm sure it'll be fantastic. But what I want you to look at it when you're reading it is look for evidence, not stories. Look for something that can be proven and doesn't rely on you trusting and reading through the lines. Because I think that substance in the book is going to be minimal, if any. Just keep your eyes open for real proof. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I'll take that on board, definitely. As I say, but and I know GUFON's very sort of like frustrated in this because there's a lot that we don't agree about, and I do give people a lot of the benefit of the doubt, and at the moment, what I haven't seen from Lue is anything in terms of output. He talks about things going on behind the scenes, and it's clear that he has discussions with other people that we're not candid to. He spends a lot of time on YouTube and podcasts and things like that, and it does make me wonder how much time he's got to do other things, because he seems to be putting out so much content there, and then he talks about so much other stuff going on behind. But how many hours of the day does the man have?
I hear you there.
know.
He's
The
busy.
information he's given us up to now, even with the footage, the information is useless. So that is useless information. The footage he's given us, I tell you what, and I had this argument when the footage first came out, and I got called by all of my friends over on the other channel where I'm from. I got told I was wrong, and I was talking shite. To go fast, it's a bird. That's all it is. It's a friggin' bird. It's two pilots, bored shitless, flying along, and they're fucking about, trying to track a bird. That's all that is. And all the people that say, oh, Q, you're wrong, it's moving too fast. Well, I don't want to swear on Ollie's stream out of respect for Ollie.
Oh, yeah, I never swear on this channel.
Good.
Damn
Good
straight.
Yeah, damn straight. Well, all those people that told me it wasn't a bird, they'll find out one day. And the other pieces of footage, if that is the best we can get from Lue, then it's useless. I mean, he will say, oh, well, you know, we have high def. Show us it. If you're not going to show us it all, don't show us anything. Don't come out and say, oh, well, I know. Well, if you know, tell us. Don't use the whole non-disclosure crap. Don't use the whole, oh, well, I don't want to break me trust with the government and with the American people and all of this. Well, shut the hell up. Get out the community and stop giving us useless information. Tell us something. The most interesting thing Lue has ever said, and we can't even prove this, was when, just like some guy in a pub might say, was when he mentioned quantum mechanics having some involvement in this. And maybe it is something like that, because quantum mechanics are above certainly my head, and well, your best scientists can't even friggin' explain it. So yeah, but that's almost like a get out of jail free card again.
Thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate that. And yeah, I don't know why we're speaking about him, but I think we're going to be speaking about him. It's kind of in the thumbnail of the video, though, to be fair. But I think we'll be speaking about this man for quite some time, until right after the book. Sorry to interrupt you there, Curious. What I never thanked Jennifer for the first super chat, so I just want to say thank you.
No problem, mate. I've been trying to get hold of Kyle as well. And I'd say if Kyle was on here, he would argue with us all. He would tell us all how we're wrong, and
Q, I wanted
how
that. I wanted that debate on here. I mean, I've said that the emails there. You know, why has nobody? This is the concerning thing for me. Why is nobody wanting to come that has Lue's back? You know, that I mean, there's Rich is the only one that's putting some positives in there, and I can see why Rich is doing that. Not this Rich, not this Rich, that Rich down there,
right below me.
Well, Rich is staying on the fence. He hasn't made his mind up, and you know that's completely up to him. I have nothing against that.
Sure, you do.
Agree with it. Well, I don't agree with it, but
how can you not have an opinion after 5 years?
Well, not everybody does.
They have to. How do you not?
No, there's
It's
still a lot of people on
sometimes-
the fence, man, you know,
Yeah,
and that's good.
it's-
You should be. With all new information, you should look at every new piece of information that comes in and reevaluate how you feel after you see that new information. But, you know, and a lot of people just haven't had the same exposure that you and I, GUFON, have had to some of this stuff to see through it for years. And they've actually been exposed to all the one-sided narrative. And so I'm glad that there's people out there asking questions and using critical thinking. You know, that's what we need in this field.
I remain open-minded and skeptical at the same time. That's the way, open-minded skepticality, and that's how we should approach
What
most
got
of
me
this
with
subject.
him was when he was in charge of ATIP, he wasn't, and I did a video on this 6 months ago or whatever, where he's not even, when he's being interviewed, able to talk about the most important things that they were looking for when it comes to flight and anti-gravity and instant acceleration and being able to hide themselves and all these different things. He was unable to say anything on it, and being a director of it, I would have thought he would. Now, if Cal was on it, he'd say, "Oh, Q, you're talking crap." Just because he slipped up and got a couple of words wrong, you can't crucify the guy for that. But the guy should know this stuff. If he was holding such an important place, just like Earl Man said, he could write that on a friggin' card and give it out to people. You know, I can call myself QQQvid MGP. MGP doesn't really mean anything, but it sounds fancy.
Well, I'll be honest with you, Q. When you first came on and it came up Q, I was getting concerned there that YouTube would see that and maybe take the video down with it being a Q. Thanks, PH Webb, for the super chat there. This one's on me, mate. Wishing the Queen and you good health. I appreciate that, mate. Yeah.
Hell
Nice one,
yeah.
mate.
God save the Queen. God save the Queen.
Hey, I could argue on Lue's behalf. I don't mind playing devil's advocate.
Please.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, cool. Let's do it. What's the first hole in the Lue theory?
Oh, let me give you my biggest gripe.
Sure.
Okay. If Lue Elizondo was not conspiring with TTSA to defraud the government, leak footage, and have it brought over there, why did his wife move to Encinitas, California, 6 minutes from the TTSA headquarters almost a year before he left the Pentagon?
She was having an affair with Tom DeLonge. He likes to be a cuckold. He likes to watch. I think it's very strange you get into his personal sexual life, and we should be focusing on the work he did.
Exactly. He is a cuckold.
Seems like a personal attack.
Oh. Yeah, I was looking for a real devil's advocate here, man.
That's a
See,
real
I'm not
answer.
trying to sling mud at the guy. I just want to know,
that's a real defense. He could say that, and you couldn't come against him.
Right.
I don't have to, but you know what? The thing is, nobody in the real world's going to buy that, and he might get his plausible deniability might work up on the hill,
Wait.
but down here in the real world, we know that's garbage.
No, I want to catch you on your passion. Do you know who is running the nuclear waste processing and security for the United States government? Have you researched him?
No.
In his dress, or his pink hair, or his high heels, or his fetish for tying up other men to look like dogs and then engaging in acts with them?
Okay.
And then he gives lectures about it immediately after security. No, feel free to Google that. That's why it is a valid tactic. When you go into someone's personal life, if they're going to rebuff, absolutely. I can give something embarrassing and something honest, and you could say, well, that's not true, and then I can just come after you for not taking it at face value. And as far as where his wife goes, maybe she got a good deal on a house. Maybe we were having marital issues. I think it's strange that you would combat him on his marital issues beforehand. It just happened to be a great coincidence that it worked out later on.
What a great coincidence. I know, like all the other coincidences for his answers. I get it.
I'm good. Let's go. What's the next one?
Okay. So at the same time that Lue, I'm just going to address you as Lue if that's cool. All right. So you're proxy Lue Elizondo. No. You're just giving us your opinion based upon how you think Lou would answer. It's cool. I like it. So, Lou, at the same time as your wife is moving to Encinitas, California, almost a year before you leave the Pentagon, you and your wife purchased a home in West Virginia that was listed in somebody else's name for 2 years. Was this done to avoid detection of the property from the officials at the Pentagon? And also, where did the money come for that purchase?
Excellent question. Do you have receipts of who signed over for the house?
I have
Or the
property
financing?
records. That's it.
Property records don't count. Do you have the finance records from the bank?
Wait. Why do public property records not count?
No. You just show that he took possession of the house. You're asking him a personal financial
Oh,
question
no.
of how he financed the house.
Why do the public records show that? Let me phrase that because my whole video is about documents found in the public record. So let me
understand
rephrase
that.
that. So why do the public records show this is what I'm going to ask.
Because he owned a house. That's why it's public record that he owned a house. Do you not? I mean, I own a house.
Yeah, is it registered in your name? Did you pay the tax on it?
Yep.
Yeah, Lou didn't for 2 years.
Okay. A lot of people don't pay their taxes on houses.
So what does that indicate? And why? And why?
Buy-to-let.
Because
And of the
Wait,
dozen of the
you
dozen
want
of
me to
purchase.
answer? Hold on. You want me
Okay,
to
yeah.
answer? Allow me to
Yeah,
answer.
go ahead.
I understand the passion, but allow me to answer. Why is his personal financing or why is my personal financing or inability to pay my bills any part of this?
The DOD thinks so. That's why they run credit reports on people with
They
security
do, but
clearance
it
every
will
month.
not stop someone from getting the top secret security clearance. As long as you're honest about it. You ever sat for a security clearance?
That's up for
Have you
them
ever
to
been
decide, not me.
investigated by the FBI for one?
I wouldn't know. Maybe. I wouldn't be surprised if they're investigating
would
me
know.
right now because of
No.
my
It's-
involvement in Who's Lou.
Wait. Let's not distract. Let's stay on point. That will not stop someone from getting a secret security. You could top level security clearance, any of that. It will not stop that. You can have a bankruptcy. It will not stop that. Do you know what things will stop one?
I don't know, a judgment maybe?
Nope.
What will?
See, that should
Purchasing
be
a house with strange funds? I mean, I don't know. I'm not an investigator like that. See, my question is, why aren't the
You
people
wanted
who
me
have
to-
access to
you wanted
this
me to
doing
answer.
this
You
work?
wanted me to answer. Allow me to answer. Correct.
Okay. I do want to answer, but I want to respond to your
No.
answers too.
I'm not stopping you from that. I'm trying to finish. So when you said you want
Okay,
to know
then go
about
ahead and
the
finish.
funding, I said that's personal financing. Why would I tell a complete stranger about personal financing? Why would I air that on YouTube? Why would I want you to understand how my bank flows, how my money goes? Maybe I had an uncle that left me money and I use it through a different fund and I filter that through cryptos. That's my purpose. However,
Or maybe
that
he
works
found a-
between me, my accountant, and God.
Actually, it's all on the public record, so it's between the public and everybody
Then who
else. Yeah,
financed my house?
that's a good question. Lou, why don't you tell us so we don't have to
Because it's
speculate?
not part of the public record.
I don't know. I don't know.
Is it? Wait, if
Is
part of
it?
the- wait,
Have you
if
seen
it
the
was part
document?
of the public record. I'm Lou. If it was part of the public record, you would have found it, correct? You said you looked through the public records. You did not find it. It is not part of the public record.
No. I
financing-
didn't say it wasn't part of the public record. I said I couldn't find it. I'm one person who spent 6 months researching this. I did
Okay,
not spend
let's
my
stick to
whole
the
life on
questions
it.
You can prove.
You are, and then you ask me a question that I answered. You cut me off with another question. All right, whatever. Let's stick to the answers I can prove. What's your question? Can you be as direct as possible?
Yes.
So be direct. I'm trying to answer your questions, and every time you're just like, "No, that's not right. No, that's not right." Well, what do you want me to say?
You asked for devil's advocate. I'm playing devil's advocate. If you don't like the nature of my answers, you should ask better questions.
Okay, Lou, who paid for your house in West Virginia?
Who paid for your house?
I did.
No, you didn't. Mm-hmm. Who's the bank?
Why would you assume I have one?
What's your
Why
routing
would
number?
you assume I didn't just pay it? Why would you assume any of this? And again, how do you answer a question with the question? That's not devil's advocate. That's rhetoric and argument. Answer the question.
Hold on. It is
You
a
don't-
point to be made. It is a
No,
point
it's
to be
not.
made.
It's an argument. Answer the
Oh,
question
you
with the
gotta cut
question
me
is an
off, or
argument.
You got to allow me to answer.
You're not
I'm actually
answering.
waiting for the answer.
But you're not answering. I've asked
I'm
questions
trying
and
to.
you just rebut them with circular arguments. And that's exactly what I
want
deal
me-
with Lou all day long for
do you
4
want me to
years.
answer?
Yeah, I'd like an answer, not another question.
A different question or that same one we were on? Because I was about to answer your finance question. I was making a point with my circular question.
Okay, well, make
Would
your
you like
point
me to
however you
explain
feel. Go
If
ahead,
your
I'm not
personal
stopping you.
Finances are off limits. Why would I answer any questions about my personal finances?
My personal finances are not off limits. I never
Okay,
said
then
that they
answer your
were.
question. What's your bank routing number?
My personal identifier bank number, I'm not
Sure.
giving that out on the internet.
Okay.
If you want to, if it's imperative that you believe my story, that I show you a
No, it's
redacted
imperative
version
that you
of
put it
my
out for the
financial
public.
records, I most certainly will. I'll be more than forthcoming. I'll put out my taxes and I'll hold them right up and say, Lou, as soon as you put those yours out and your DD 214, the public will get mine. They'll be right here. I have no problem showing my finances
It's easy
to
say that without
anybody.
taking the first leap of faith, isn't it?
Well, yeah, we know, because that's exactly what Lou's done. We know it's easy to say it and not walk it. Other people
I
have done
think
this
Lou's
too.
an American hero who's a stand-up guy. He has a security clearance. He's clearly trusted by the government and vetted.
That's
You
a
tell
great
me the
opinion to
government's
have.
vet?
I believe that there's a little bit more complicated situation to Lou's involvement with the government than that. And if you have involvement with the government, you should know that as well, because I don't, and I know it.
You'd be amazed.
Is there any way we can ask Lou a question to do with UFOs where we can word it correctly that he is able to answer it without...
No.
Yeah, probably not.
Absolutely not.
Where you get a straight answer
Absolutely
like a yes or no, yeah, it just doesn't seem to come that
No,
way.
my point in playing devil's advocate is I can talk in circles like this all day. It's just avoiding interrogation, and I guarantee Lou knows how to do that.
Of course, yeah. And he
you're never
does.
going to win. You're never. And the fact I'm trying to make about personal finances, you're never going to get into it. Do you know how contractors are paid outside of government circuits?
Through special access programs and layers of contractors, is that what you're asking?
I mean, yeah. So if you were an employer for a government contract agency and you had someone who was a former government employee who needed to get paid a substantial sum of money, how would you do it? You want me to tell you how it's done?
Yeah, I think I understand what you're saying, but yeah, go ahead.
I don't think you do. So what it is I would sign up and say, no. Trust me. Listen to this, and it'll
right.
give you something to look at. So Lou's wife has a house, correct? Her name. Taxes aren't paid on that house, but the house sold, correct, for more than full value.
Half correct. It was in both their names. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, but it was for more than full value, correct?
Yes.
If you could look at the financials behind the house and took out who took a loan on it, why would someone take out a loan on a house that they just bought, which I guarantee happened?
Yeah, I proved that point in the movie.
Okay, so why? Because loans are tax-free. Did you know that in the U.S.? The equity on a home, if his home was paid for and he took out a loan, it would look as though they were buying a home. But in the reality, they would just be cashing out full equity. 2 years later, why didn't he pay the taxes? Because he didn't give a shit. He was just going to sell it later. It was cash out. That's why he has multiple homes. It's how you hide money. It's how you move money, and it's totally clean.
It
Has
is
no
clean.
ties
It's
to money.
totally legal. I
Yep.
understand that. I understand the structure of everything as
Oh.
well. Yeah, I do. The part that I'm questionable about is the West Virginia home that was listed in somebody else's name, and the move to Encinitas, and that kind of touches on what somebody asked in chat about bringing the family into the movie, and that's kind of the reason that the children were mentioned, because I was telling the story of who's Lou, and I was very careful to only mention them as his children, not by name, not to show their, identifying information, but I was trying to tell the story of this guy's life, and so the children had to be mentioned. And as far as I was concerned, the wife moving to Encinitas needed to be shown, because that showed that conspiracy type of thinking to move to TTSA almost a year in advance, and I get
He was getting the
that.
job. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's, I just, to sidetrack a little bit, I wanted to clear that up for the chat, because some people are like, oh, why'd you bring the kids into it? Well, I was telling his life story. How do you do that without mentioning he had a child?
Well, to be fair on that money, I've heard Lou actually speak about his family, so that's common knowledge anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't know why people get a bee in the bonnet about that. As long as you're not mentioning names or anything like that, and he's mentioned it, so it's like me saying Rich has got a mum that makes meatballs for him. He has.
It was a really hard decision to make, and how much to put in there, because it was such a sensitive subject. And so I just tried to err on the side of caution and show the bare minimum, that these people had children at these times, and that was it. Because I don't want to bring the kids into it. It's not about them. It's about Lou,
Yeah, I mean, Jennifer, thank you for that again. I don't actually know. Would he get into trouble at all?
No.
Well, there's the answer to that.
Well, I'd like to see an investigation be done and them to determine that, because I believe that they're...
happen.
Now, hold on. I get that, but why won't it happen?
Because he's Lue Elizondo.
Exactly. He's above reproach. He has protection. If that was a Joe Schmo who wasn't Lue Elizondo and didn't have the protection of Chris Mellon and some of these other players, I have a feeling that it would be investigated. So why is it okay for these guys to break the law and to do this stuff and to continue to profit from it? And they are still profiting from it. All of those people got stocks in TTSA and are going to continue to get paid off of that, in different ways or however. So
How do you know?
we got to acknowledge that. How do I know about TTSA? I've been doing a breakdown on them and showing where all their stocks are going to all their corporate board members. And there was just another one that I uncovered the other night where they had given, I think, all of their science and tech division, which was in 2018, Howe put off, I think maybe Jim Simivan and then Elizondo got an extra like $150,000 bump in pay for the year because they had these DOD contracts. And that goes back to what Elman was saying, like when our military officials leave service and go into the private sector, it's because they're getting paid significantly more money. I think GS 15 is like 130 grand a year or something. And we know that right off the bat, his first year at TTSA, I think Lue was making that 150 in salary, if not more, in stock bonuses and things like that. So that's kind of why people do this. It's not, and it's easy to point it and say, well, no, Lue, this isn't about disclosure, it's money. And if it's not about money, well, then let's answer some of these questions and figure out, give me enough evidence to believe you, Lue. I want to believe you. I'm one of those people, but I just can't with the evidence that I have. I can't. I'm a rationally thinking person. So sell me, and I'll be your number one supporter.
David, Jennifer says that's not normal. With this, can you? I mean, I know you've got some.
No, he is never going to be touched. This job was set up before, like Area 503. There set up. The reason his wife went out there, and I'm sure someone else paid for the house, is that he knew he was going there. It's like when a general retires and he goes and works for Lockheed Martin, he's got that job 3 years before he retires. His whole job is to facilitate contracts with his friends that he's made and how he got there. He's done nothing wrong. The only thing he would do wrong is if he did violate one of his NDAs. And I heard part of the conversation before that about people signing them for work in private agencies, and they're different between the military, and they are. Part of how that works is, again, so like national research labs, which most Western countries have some kind of, right? It's government money filtered through private hands that run special projects to do research. The reason they do that is the private companies don't have to tell you dick. And the NDAs that you sign through the government are far different than what you sign through private people. The government can put you away, but again, if you shout loud enough, there's really only so much they can do. If you sign it with a private entity, they can ruin your life forever. You would wish prison, because it would be a far easier thing. And when you're dealing with people like this, you're not going to be hosted at some judge. This is all going to be closed court. No one's going to know what's going on. Litigation is going to be massive. You're going to be sitting across from 15 attorneys from the best schools with the best backing who are ripping every part of your life apart. When you sit down across from them and they examine and cross-examine, you have to give your statement. It will be in 8-hour sessions. Only for bathroom breaks will it stop. Until you've dealt with something like that, it's easy to wish, well, he needs to do this or he needs to do that. The reality is he's working for himself, and honestly, he probably believes he's doing the best thing for everyone, or at least for the government, or whatever the hell they're telling him. That's how you can get someone to keep going a lie so long. They get a believer, and they pay him a lot of money, and they're justified in their own mind, and that's all that matters.
Yep.
Ilman.
Ilman.
I love your perspectives, Elman, honestly.
Yeah. Did you ever see this guy? So when he was revealed in TTSA, did you ever think, oh, this is the guy? You know
what? When I'll tell you, when TTSA came out, I was like, hell yeah, someone's doing something. And then I saw the guy from Skunk Works, and I was like, it's bullshit. It's bullshit.
What, Steve Justice?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. Lockheed Martin and Skunk Works is one of the biggest companies in the world. You think they're just going to let some random guy who ran like a top secret security clearance wouldn't even get you in their door, wouldn't get you in the cafeteria. They have biometric identification, man, at the crappiest of their labs when it gets into that kind of stuff. Do you think they're going to let that guy just, I'm going to work on UFOs. I'm going to tell you everything I know about. Hell no. Hell no. That's not how things work. He gives credence, right?
Well,
it sounds good, but
And
this is
you
how
know
I
where he
view
is now,
everything.
don't you?
Yeah, every time I view anything in someone's, I'm from the government, or they're using a government title, especially like that, or like, no, we're a contractor for the government. If you're using the government for credibility, you're full of shit, or you have an alternate agenda. If you came to me and said, I'm from Booz Allen Hamilton, I worked with the Special Disclosure Project with CIA and the NSA, and it was in tracking near Earth orbit objects using our satellite dish that we have stationed out in Arizona that we don't talk about by the Air Force Base, where we use drones to watch the Border Patrol armed with Hellfire missiles, which is wildly illegal, but happens every single day, running in 12-hour shifts with $11 million cameras that can watch footprints across the ground in thermal, which is not a joke.
I believe it.
So, yeah, I mean, let's get real. And the fact is, like, we're going to bring him to justice, or we're going to get him to answer a question. You're never going to get near that man.
No,
And
it needs
odds
the
are
pressure.
someone's probably going to watch this live about him. I'm sure they do. It's just data collection. It's just more metrics to be fed into the machine.
Yeah, you see, the thing is, I'm a civilian researcher. I don't have subpoena powers or anything like that. So my hopes by putting everything together was that someone who does have that power would look at this and say, you know what, there's enough smoke here that we need to investigate if there's a fire or not. Because they're the ones who can get that. It's going to be the DOD. It's going to be NCIS. It's going to be the IG's office. I don't know who it's going to be, but they need to be the ones to investigate that. But like you said, it's so political. I don't think they're going to. And I did touch on that on the film. Like a minor investigator just can't pick this up and run with it because they'll just get squashed by the politics.
I understand. I think what you're doing is awesome. I have not watched your movie, but I promise I will. I'm a little more sober now. I wish I was still more drunk. Helps me.
Sobering conversation. This sucks.
Oh no, I just ran out of booze and I didn't want to run downstairs. So I like what you said. And for anyone listening, this is going to pop big bubbles. So you want the DOD or an attorney general or something. Nobody's going to do shit against them. You don't understand who these people are. People have no clue who these people are. You talked about Halliburton. Halliburton is peanuts next to Booz Allen Hamilton. They're a joke. They rebuild the countries. They don't decide which countries to move in. They don't negotiate the contracts for oil. They don't negotiate shit. They blow up and they build. That's what they do. They're the hands. If this complex was a body, they're just the hands. They're not the brain. Yeah. They're not in charge. And so a DOD is going to go after him? No, he won't. He'll lose his job and his commission tomorrow. He'll be investigated. His wife will be investigated. He'll be under 3 IRS audits. He'll be moved off base. He'll be moved to some base in Greenland monitoring weather, or one of the many bases they send people to die out in the desert. They just sit there and forget about who they are until they're done. Happens all the time. You don't fuck around in that kind of line of work. As far as anything else, the first attorney general to take a shot at this, his life will be wrecked, because you're talking about a private entity that is the intelligence community. The fact that they're so good shows that all you guys who UFO research are into this, right? Some level, you don't know who Booz Allen Hamilton is. You should know who Booz Allen Hamilton is.
Yep.
Ollie, if it was just you and GUFON in the room talking to each other, and it was just you two here now,
yeah,
what would you two be saying about Lue? You just talked to GUFON.
I don't think we'd. I think we'd probably be talking about the moon by now, or Elon Musk. I don't think we'd have stayed on track. If I'm honest, I don't think.
If you say you were just starting the conversation, what would the two of you be talking about, Lue?
I don't know, Rich. What would we be talking about?
You're muted, Rich.
I don't know. I never met him before, so I don't know what his baseline is. But from what I've heard, it doesn't seem like we're that far apart on our beliefs. So I don't know what we'd be talking about. Probably flat Earth. No, I'm joking.
I think what I would have brought up, Q, is the past and why. From the title of the video, don't fuck with Lue. I would have spoke about the community and how it's become quite very much split down the middle. I think, if anything, it's more people seeing from your guys. It seems that way to me. Rich, nobody wants to come on this. Nobody wants to come on this show, but nobody wants to come and speak out for Lue. Nobody. There's only Rich down here. That's and he's just in the middle. He's. Go on, what you say, Rich?
I was just
I'm
going
not
to say
invested in it like you guys.
it's more of them and less of us. It is.
They won't voice it.
They won't voice it, but there's a lot of them out there who love Lue. Twitter is full of Lue lovers. I'm in the minority, and I don't understand how, but that's Twitter. Okay, you come over to YouTube, it's turned into that culture, and another couple channels just popped up in the last week, talking about we all gotta be together and be happy, and love each other. But I said it earlier, as soon as you say something they don't like, they'll try to take you down. So they're hypocrites, and there's many more of them than there are of us. That's all. I don't see a lot of people doing what I'm doing, but I see a lot of people doing what they're doing.
You see a lot of accounts, but do you see the people behind the accounts?
Yeah, I don't know who they are. Most these new people coming out acting like they've been here, and I don't even know who they are. But they're talking a lot of wokeisms and things that I don't trust them. And they're saying we all got to get together and all this and all that. And I'm like, yeah, well, you'll never get the community together. It'll never happen if you bring politics into it. And that's what ufology's turned into because of Lue. Because Lue is government. And with government is politics. And with politics, there's lies. And so on and so forth.
For somebody who tries to stay in the middle, I have always found that odd that the UFO community has never trusted the government. Ever.
Can't.
In the past. But
so why is it all of a sudden we're trusting Lue?
Yeah.
God, I love when you talk like that, Rich.
Who was that? Elman.
Sexy man. It's the most sense made right there. Why do we trust the government?
Yeah, all of a sudden now? Because what is it about Lue that people like? Is it because he's exactly what he should look like and act like for a guy who's worked in a, secret government UFO room, which isn't so secret, but I still, we've been saying the whole show, what has he done? He hasn't done anything, really.
He's made money.
He's made money, but it's all Mellon. Mellon's got the connections, and Lue and those two are at the hip everywhere they go. Now they're at the Galileo Project doing it all again with Nick Pope and Christopher Nolan or whatever. Christopher Nolan. Whatever Nolan, that guy, and somebody else just joined in. But it's weird that Lue would want to be a part of the Galileo Project too. Why? Now we're bringing the government into a publicly funded, privately owned. I don't know how they're doing it. What are they doing? Is it all publicly funded now, the Galileo Project, and it's for all of us? So why bring the government in?
Didn't Lue say just before they kicked off the Galileo Project that he knew exactly where to look?
Oh yeah, I didn't hear that. That's funny, actually.
Yeah. He went on. I think he was on the guy that does the theories of everything, or one of those.
Kurt Jaimungel.
Oh, Kurt. Yeah, Jaimungel.
Yeah. And he asked something along the lines of, how do you what kind of scanning you would need to do. What kind of sensors you would need to put up and where to get something. And Lue said something along the lines of, well, you would only really need one sensor and you would need to put it one place, and then all of a sudden you would see. Now, if he absolutely knows where to look and how to look, then he should be advising the Galileo Project.
Well, there was a
Simple as that.
reason. There was a reason for that. I mean, they did ask him where to look, and he said he couldn't answer because of his NDA.
Yeah, but he said all you needed was one sensor, and he knew where to look.
Hey,
So-
if he can't
Sorry,
tell him,
I was just being sarcastic.
but if
I
he
loved
can't
it.
tell him,
Loved it.
he's got his NDA and he can't tell us where to look, but he's going to be able to break his NDA to tell Avi where to look. Is that what I'm hearing?
Maybe. We don't know, but that's if that's the case, then that's why he's on board with the Galileo project.
Right. I have my thoughts on the Galileo project because I think it was last week Christopher Mellon was on a show talking about this SpaceNet phased radar array that we have that can image a baseball from 20,000 miles away in HD quality. And I kind of, when I heard that, I thought, oh, this is what they're doing. They're trying to get this tech declassified under the Galileo project under the disguise of it being for astronomy. But really, we know where it's going to go. It's going to be declassified and sold to whoever will pay for it. And that was just my thought on what they're doing over there, but yeah.
But they have to be transparent, apparently, over there. So I don't know. You know, they won't. But
There would be some really, really big privacy issues with having that kind of thing put out to the public. Huge privacy issues.
And Avi Loeb put a 2-year a ticker on. They'll find something within 2 years, is what he said. Like, and my idea about this is that they're not going to find anything, but they're going to say they did just to get more funding for the next couple of years. And then eventually, a year later, they'll say, we did all the analysis we could. It was just a dust cloud. You know, something like that. We thought it was an alien craft. Yeah, we got more funding for 2 more years. Whoever's giving them the money, public, whatever. I don't like it. It's just weird. Putting a 2-year thing on that, we're going to find something in 2 years? We haven't found anything in 50.
Well, clock's
With
ticking.
SETI.
You ought to get on with it then, shouldn't it?
And I think SETI's a big waste of time. SETI's a waste of time. Like other civilizations,
Say that.
other civilizations are going to be sending out signals just like we have here on Earth. And I find it very hard to believe that a civilization would be around, you know, whether it's 200,000 years to get here, 1,000,000 years to get to us, but they would be gone by now, most likely. And for them to create AM and FM or UHF type of technology would be just outrageously weird. It just wouldn't happen. You know what I mean? For another civilization to be around, be human, and have all the same elements like we have, I guess we're all made of the same stuff in this universe.
Hey, Richie, in about 1,000,000 years when they answer SETI, then maybe I might take them words back.
I hope I do. I'll be reincarnated 1.5 million times by then.
Do you know what I find really odd in all of this? And people seem to... people always made the comments about Tom DeLonge being a rock star. You know, he's a rock star and he was the person that set it off. What I find really strange is Tom DeLonge in this, because he's gone silent, and somebody is a rock star, somebody who likes to hear, you can tell that man likes to hear his own voice. He likes to see himself in front of the camera. Why is he now totally off the camera? I don't think he's made that decision. I think he's been taken out of the equation from that.
Ollie, I got some insight into that we talked about, if I can comment. Rich, if you want to comment first, go ahead.
Well, yeah, that was the question to all of you.
No, go ahead. You first.
So, go ahead, Rich Underwood, and I'll comment afterwards.
Sorry, no, I was pointing to you. Go for it, mate. You know.
Okay, I got you. So I've been digging into TTSA quite a bit to their SEC public filings, and there's a lot of information in there that the public really doesn't know about. Ollie, we talked about it, there being a front and the back of the house. So Tom DeLonge has been busy recently filming his It just wrapped last week, Monsters in California film. And he's also been heavily touring with Angels and Airwaves, as that's been the predominant, if not only, source of income for the company in the last couple of years. So he's been really busy off the camera, and I can understand why the public perception is that he's gone away, but it's not. He hasn't gone anywhere. He's still on Twitter making all his political posts and stuff again now that Lue's gone and Mellon have left. If you notice in the film, I mentioned that he didn't do any of that while they were there.
I know about the tweets and stuff like that. I'm talking about that man. Like, he likes to be seen on camera.
Yeah, but he was behind the camera is what I'm saying. He was filming a movie in California and doing this other touring stuff. So he's fulfilling that need in other ways is kind of what I'm trying to say. That we're not seeing it publicly. They're in post on Monsters in California right now, and he wrapped shooting last week. So you'll probably start seeing some more of him in the public eye as he has more time for that. It's just kind of what I'm saying. There's a lot going on at TTSA behind the scenes. So I think that's keeping them busy because they're doing a lot of other things with the scientific division that they weren't doing before, with different projects and things. So
have you seen they've rebranded themselves? They're just called To the Stars now. And there's a video out by Tom DeLonge actually talking about now all of their merchandise, every time they sell some of their merchandise, it goes to some ecological charity.
Right. So originally, that's a good question because To the Stars was founded, I believe, in 2003, I want to say originally that. And I did mention that and did a breakdown on it on Twitter because I went over to the To the Stars page. I got a tip from one of my viewers and went over there and the page was down. And I went over to the YouTube page and noticed the new logo and that they had taken some of the old videos off of the YouTube page. And then I went to the Twitter and noticed that it was the different logo on Twitter and stuff. So that was all mentioned in their 2020 SEC filing that they were going to be doing that, but they waited until, this was, January, I think, of 2022 to actually do all that. And part of that is because the SEC filing expired in 2021. So To the Stars Academy stopped selling stocks because their filing was over only for so many years. And this was part of a plan. But as I mentioned in my TTSA breakdown, I'm afraid that in the corporate restructuring that they're doing, that the stockholders of that common stock might kind of get put on the back burner or even forgot about, because I'm not sure that the new company has a financial obligation to them. So there's something that really needs to be looked into there. And another thing to keep in mind about that whole rebranding was that they kept the logos and the copyrights and everything on the page almost the same. And it almost felt like they were trying to keep the public from knowing what they were doing. It was like a corporate structure behind restructuring behind the scenes, but they wanted the public brand and image to remain as close to intact as possible. And that's another big red flag is like, why are you guys restructuring everything? But you don't want anyone to know why you're doing it, if you get what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think the problem with Tom is, when it comes to the UFO community, we want to know answers to all the big questions. Whereas Tom wants to know about all those small things.
So there's the new logo, and on the bottom of the page here, if you notice, they don't copyright it To the Stars Academy of Arts and Sciences Incorporated anymore. It's now that new To the Stars media company. Yeah. And there's no link to the SEC filings. Those were required to be public by law and were on there during the time that they were offering stocks, but as they're not anymore, they don't have to publicly make those available.
Yeah, have they made more of a shift to a more ecological and less of extraterrestrial in terms of what their goals are now? It just seemed to me in the video that I saw that they seem to have dropped some of the alien stuff.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. They've got that Stan Spry guy that you just scrolled over, Ollie. He's a big Hollywood producer, has done, I think, $250 million in production work. He's got a lot of Hollywood credentials. And so I think they're shifting the public front to this media, which is going to be their, from what I understand in the filings, they said that they had identified and began work on 13 original screenplays. So Monsters of California is only going to be the first. If it takes off and makes a bunch of money, I assume they're going to start producing those other movies as well. But again, like I said before, that's the front of the house, because the scientific division, which is those guys right there, Dr. Hal Puthoff and all those other people, they're doing other things behind the scenes. They've got these DoD contracts that may very well turn out to be no bid contracts, similar to what Bass got. Where it's just a no bid, give us this product because you're the only one who knew about it in time to make the thing. And, L-Man can tell you how those projects work, like they're pretty common. Yeah, you know nothing about them. But so no bid contracts aren't good for the taxpayer in a lot of cases, but I understand why they do things the way they do. There's Monsters of California. It looks like they had it listed as 2020. Yeah, but they just wrapped on it. It won't be out till 2 years later.
Do you know what I think the best thing Tom DeLonge did for the UFO community, and I'm being perfectly serious now, was when he won UFO Researcher of the Year, because Tyler from Secure Team, Tyler from Secure Team, got so butthurt he had to make a video about it. That was the best thing Tom DeLonge ever did for the UFO community.
It brought me out of retirement.
That's the best thing it ever did for the UFO community, right?
Amen,
there.
brother. When I heard Jaime Maussan won the next year, I almost lost it. Jaime Maussan is not a UFO researcher.
I've got to say, all the TTSA stuff dragged me back into it. I was interested for a while, and then I dropped out of it all.
I was out for a whole year.
Yeah. It's about 2010, 2012, somewhere around there. I just had enough, and when TTSA swung in, I thought, oh, time to get involved again.
Did you feel like investing at one point, Rich?
No.
Smart, very smart. I did a big breakdown on it, Rich, and one of the things that I noted was that basically Tom DeLonge is getting paid at 8 or 9 different ways out of the company as business expenses, and I outlined how they could have paid off debts to him that they didn't. He's leveraged the company in his own way to get a bunch of money in stock before anybody else does. And so while it's a public benefit corporation, I can tell you this, in 2020, the only public benefit that they claimed on paper was the role that they played in the Unidentified, which is a History Channel for-profit project. So they really didn't do any public benefit, but took in, I think it was $60 million in that year, and flipped it all right back out in stock benefits to Tom, Lou, Hal, everybody who worked there, and not just the names, but I mean the employees too. They all got their chunk, and it's just, I don't think it's very feasible. I'm hoping that people didn't get soaked in it who bought in, but if you're interested to see the breakdown, you should watch a 3-hour review I did on it, because I just went through the filings and showed it all. It's there.
Yeah, it always seemed to me to be like trying to invest in a football team or a soccer team or something like that. Well, all the money goes to the players and you're never going to see any of it back. That's how it all seemed to me.
Sounds like it's the same.
Transmedium craft.
Something I've never revealed on stream is actually I won 3 years on the run UFO Researcher of the Year. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to tell you about it because I signed an NDA.
That happens.
There were rumors, yeah.
Makes sense.
Oh, man.
Have you ever thought in any of this where you've been doing, and I think this was mainly for you and GUFON, Rich, Manny, that you might be wrong?
Me? Absolutely. I'm wrong about all kinds of things.
Wrong about what?
About Lou.
Yeah, sure. Could be. But so far doesn't lean that way.
But has there ever been moments where you've just seen something happen and you just thought, shit, I think I could be wrong here?
No.
I got to agree with Rich. I haven't either. I've just looked at it all and been like, yep, that's kind of what I expected. So not really.
And I'll tell you, because I said those 3 videos are garbage. Hey, maybe they're not. Maybe they are all real, legitimate UFOs, alien technology, reverse engineered. Maybe they are. Maybe he did work at ATIP and I was wrong. Of course he worked at ATIP. Then we've got Jim Lekatsky from OSAP said he worked at ATIP. So we know that, and Jim wouldn't give that up if he didn't work there. So wrong about it, right about it. There's no evidence to show it that he worked there, pretty much. And him being involved with the AOI MSG, trying to get that seat inside the DOD of the Pentagon, the UFO seat, he did have some sort of role in that. Look, I don't mind that part. What bothered me about Lue is when he kept saying the threat in the beginning. There's this threat, and we all understood it. Anything in our secured airspace is a threat, right? So we understand that. But then he said it's not this, it's not that, and it definitely isn't us. And, well, it's just weird that it all ended once the 180 days came and went. There was no more threat and no more Lue. And then now he says he's got the book coming out and the seat at the Pentagon. Yeah, I don't see him doing a lot, like not bringing us any closer to disclosure. But he never promised he was going to do that either. He just said he'd like to.
No, his number 5 promise on Twitter, I will always push for full disclosure. He did promise us that.
Oh, shit, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, yeah. Well, my bad. See, I made a mistake. So, it does happen. Hey, I'm not perfect, but there's a lot of stuff. Lue is who he is, and of course there's going to be secrecy with a guy like that. But don't pee in my leg and tell me it's raining. That's what I don't like.
But the interesting thing is what you think disclosure is and what he might think disclosure is.
There's only one disclosure. You can't be a little pregnant.
Yeah, I agree, Rich.
Yeah.
It's full disclosure,
100%,
right?
100%.
We all know what it means.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I don't like...
We can faff around the word as much as we like, but disclosure is disclosure, and
so wait,
anything else is...
There's been plenty of times, though, where they've asked him, what do you think about disclosure? And he's very often said, disclosure has already happened.
For who? For the world?
What I'm trying to tell you, is it's done now, as far as he's concerned.
Then that means he's a buffoon more than I thought. He's a bigger buffoon. Oh my God! Not the whole world believes that we have aliens. It's the whole world has to know that aliens are here and we're using their technology and they're going to save us from ourselves. That's disclosure.
Well, if it's done now and he's done his part in the great disclosure that he's taken part in, then the good news is he can fuck off now.
Amen. Well, Greer says the same thing. He says we've already had disclosure. No, we have not.
Yeah, but Greer's a fucking idiot as well. That's
right.
Another thing that gets me about this. That's another thing that really gets my back up. If I say I don't like Lue, that means I love Greer.
No, it does not.
Well, according to so many people.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, Greer is a handsome man. He clearly works
He's a He-Man Z.
Lue or you support Greer. Well, where does that put me? Because I think they're both fucking idiots.
Well,
I'm
look,
sorry about
Greer.
Molly, you'll have to bleep this out afterwards.
Here's what I think. With Greer, he gave us the Disclosure Project, 400 people coming forward, all sorts of lives, doctors and whatever, lawyers. All those people came forward and all said they've had experiences or seen something. So what he did back then can't be dismissed. That was the most incredible thing ever. Just because he says he can talk to aliens, you can't dismiss everything else that happened before. But he's always said he's talked to aliens. I've looked into all of these videos on. He's been saying it for years. Just the CE5 really put it on the map for him. But yeah, Greer is looked at as a guy who just wants to have the limelight. So he'll say whatever he needs to be in that limelight. And I thought that way too, a lot.
I think Greer has set the model for this, and I actually think Lue is following it.
Right.
Yeah,
I agree.
And that is that you start off doing legitimate work. You have a specific modus operandi that you need to deliver, and you do, and you capture the public's imagination
and the credibility,
like and you get it, and then what happens? There's no more information. There's no more data.
Right, you got to make it up.
Nothing left. So either you fabricate it, or you turn to consciousness. Okay.
That's right.
and the consciousness one is really, really great, because then you sit there and you say, oh, it's all about your consciousness, and then everybody's critical reasoning stops, and then
Yes.
you're and then you're oh yeah, it's all about consciousness now, you know, and that's the bandwagon that you go on. Yeah,
That's right.
So he's done this, and now
That's great.
but what's happened is Lue's got on this bandwagon,
Yeah.
and it's now starting with the consciousness. He's now starting with the psychobabble to do with obscure branches of physics and things like that. You know, he is starting to invade that realm of where people's disbelief is suspended and the critical reasoning's undermined. Okay, that is he's in a really, really dangerous part as far as I'm concerned, and this is why, in my view, as much as I say I haven't made up my mind, I'm starting to make up my mind, and he has to start delivering something concrete before I make up my mind in the wrong way for him. It's as simple as that.
But you are going to buy the book.
I'm going to buy the book. Absolutely going to buy the book.
And Rich is buying the book. Yeah.
I hope there's an audio book.
See, Lou should be happy, you know, because
Yeah.
the negative things the negative people are going to buy your book.
Right.
And then after I'm done reading it, I'm going to return it.
Ooh, good idea. This is the wrong Lou.
Lou.
That's
I
great.
want to know what Lou knows about the truth about the reptilians.
Oh God.
Oh, he knows as much as you do.
What
Hey,
the
Rich.
Queens want.
Underwood there. I liked what you said about Lou, about he needs to produce some evidence. And I want to play for you at some point a clip from Stan Friedman shortly before he passed away, where he had said almost the same exact thing about Lue Elizondo, who was at TTSA at the time. He says, I'm real impressed, but they need to bring more to the table. They need more. Where's the documents? Where's the reports? Where's the evidence? And here we are to this day, and we have no more evidence than they had furnished up until that point. So keep that in mind, too. There's other people out there who have said the same exact thing, and I'm glad to hear that people are still using that critical thinking and not just going with what they're being told to believe, either from, I'm not telling people what to believe. I don't say trust me. I say here's the evidence, make of it what you will, but there are people out there who are trying to say trust me, this is what's going on, and I'm glad that people aren't just buying that hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah. Well, boys, on that note, this has been an awesome show, but I'm up in 5 hours. I didn't expect it to go on for nearly 3 hours. Rich, have you got a show tonight?
No, I was going to, but what am I going to do tomorrow?
The show. You're going to do the show.
What am I going to talk about?
You could do the follow-up.
The mystery and beauty of life through the eyes of Richard.
The follow-up? Maybe I'll have Kyle on.
Yeah.
We'll do it reverse. Nah, tomorrow, man. I think I'm taking tonight off. I have to take one night.
You do. You deserve it.
Yeah. There's no football, but I plan on watching something. Anyway.
And Manny, have you got a show tonight?
No, I don't have anything planned tonight. I just popped in on the spot because it was a good conversation, and I wanted to be involved. That's all. I don't have a live stream tonight, though.
I appreciate it, and I want to thank Lee, if you're watching in the bath, mate. Thank you for coming on and having that argument with Manny. It was give me the shivers.
He's more than welcome to come on my show and talk anytime he wants. We'll have
That
a
would be
civil
good.
conversation as long as it's not cutting people off. I lost my patience with that, and I tend to when people do that. I know I can be long-winded, but geez, just say, hey, shut up, Manny. I want to get my word in. So,
all right.
And Q,
Yes.
are you going to start uploading to your channel?
Possibly, but it'll probably be more gaming stuff because.
Have you gone to that?
Well, apart from awesome streams like this, which don't happen very often, the UFO community for me has become boring, transparent, and I get really, really annoyed with it. When you see all these 13-year-old kids stroking Tyler, and it just really ticks me off, and I really can't be arsed putting up with idiots looking at things and still being idiots after you explain to them why they're being idiots. I just don't see the point in stupid breeds stupid. So why bother talking to these people? Let them all go and die.
I will say something in Tyler's defense there, Q.
Oh, please don't.
He's on the same page as you guys when it comes to Lue. Completely.
Yeah, that's only because he doesn't want to come into the tiger's nest like with these guys and just get his egg ripped off. He's a friggin' sheep coming into a wolf's
But I
den.
find that interesting that the two biggest channels are totally against everything that man says.
Yeah, unfortunately, when I talk badly about Lue, I want to believe Lue. When I talk badly about Tyler, it's because he's a complete prick and he's lied too many times.
Well,
sorry, can't help my opinion.
Go sub to the gaming channel, people. QVid.
Well, I do have a couple of debunks, particularly on Third Face from the past.
Oh yes, you do.
But
you do.
I've only got a little bit of UFO stuff up there. But you never know. You never know.
And Rich and what is it?
Elmon.
Is that off some sort? What's it off?
It's from my native land. It's wildly disrespectful.
Well,
it's the man.
The man.
That's what Elmon is.
See, my dyslexia. I thought it was E-Man, like He-Man, but E-Man.
That's funny.
I've heard it both ways.
I want to thank you all. You've all made this show very dramatic and special. I've enjoyed it very much, and hopefully we will get that split room.
It's good
at some point. We need to talk about that. We need to get that on Twitter. Manny, you speak to your people. Rich, you speak to your people.
Done.
Get people talking about it. We need to get people like the Fesner on this show. Get Dave on with Rich. No,
you can. I'll be happy to. Tell him why I am very upset with him.
Email him. Say, listen, we need to make it happen. We need to get that because.
No, we'll never be friends.
You don't have to be friends, but you can still have an argument on the show like this.
Oh yeah. All right.
There we go. Good night. God bless people. Mind the bugs, don't bite. I'm Alien Addict. Go hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell. I want to thank. I do want to thank the brand new Patreon, Gavin Thompson. Thank you, mate. I should have thanked you at the beginning, but I will thank you at the beginning of the next show. I was put off a little bit when Kyle didn't turn up. Kyle, you bastard. He'll turn up next time though. But thank you so much for the Patreon, and people go check out the links below. My merch is there, where you can get yourself something to keep you warm, a little bit of merch, or get yourself a nice cup.
Beautiful.
There you go.
Beautiful.
I do it for the wife. She tells me to, so I always forget. No, she says, how come you're not selling stuff when you could be in bed with me?
Don't.
What do you say?
I just like to get away now and again, don't I? I had to have a hobby, and it was aliens.
But Ollie, what do you say to her when she says that? Come on, spill the beans. This is the good stuff now.
Just say you fell asleep anyway, you know.
Married.
I'm so glad she didn't watch my show. Otherwise, I'd wake up one night with one of them bobbits, what they're called, that chopped a fella's knob off.
Yep. Lorraine Bobbit.
Boys, thank you so much. Good night. God bless. Mind the bugs, don't bite. People in the chat, you've been absolutely wonderful. Wunderbar. Good night.
Good night.